They haven't given. But usually we don't get triple digits around here until usually July. It's been a little warm, but it hasn't been bad. We've gotten a lot of rain though.
Yeah. No, I lived up there for a while. I'm familiar. The summer temperatures up there for the few short months that it exists is not really all that far off from down here.
Yeah,
it's triple digits or at least high 90s and high humidity, and it just feels gross to go outside. It's just our reality 8 months out of the year instead of 2.
I hear you. Yeah, we not only do we get the high heat and the high humidity, but we get a wide array of interesting insect life too. So,
yeah.
And being a huge fan of having bugs like land on me, but that's a huge bonus for a living.
Oh yeah.
And I'll bring you up some palmetto bugs next time I see you.
You mean Florida cockroaches, the kind that never die and grow to be like a foot long? Thank you, but no.
And they fly, by the way.
And what? They fly.
Yep. They do not.
They do. They take off and they sound like flying fortresses. It's a B-52 bug.
Shut up. Oh, God. How can you live down there, dude?
I lived in Florida for a while, too. Those bugs are amusing.
So I heard that the cockroaches, because so a friend of mine was in the Marines and he was based in Hawaii, and similar thing. He didn't tell me that they flew though, but he said they had cockroaches the size of the palm of your hand because it never wintered long enough to like wipe them out and stunt their growth. So they became these like monstrous things that you had to fight constantly. One interesting, so Marla's cousin lives in Phoenix. Which is as fucking benighted a place as I have ever seen, out in the middle of the desert. But one interesting fun fact that they have is tons of scorpions around. So we were sitting out at night on his like back porch, like a little cement pad, having a couple of beers, and he goes, "You want to see something cool?" And I said, "Of course." And so he pulls out this like like a black light, like a fluorescent light, and just sort of turns it on and pans it over his little $2 patch of grass that he had watered, and that thing was full of scorpions, about yay big, just like wandering about. And I personally was like having a holy shit moment. But he's like, they won't come up. They won't come up on the concrete where we are because it's too hot. They won't come up here. So I'm like, well, that's comforting. But there was hundreds, thousands of them just wandering around in this little like sort of 20 by 20 patch of grass that he had cultivated in the arid, horrifying desert that is Phoenix. So also fun. I hate insects. If I was a scientist, I'd be working on ways to destroy insects constantly. Dude,
you'd have no idea what benefit they are to that drink that you're drinking, that alcohol.
Oh, totally get it. I would probably end up destroying the earth, but
yes, you probably would.
we would die bug free.
That fits your evil scientist persona.
It would totally be worth it.
Bug free and sober. That would be a terrible way to be.
That's a terrible way to go, dude.
Boy, that's a hard one.
That's what Eve said.
Bug free or sober? I guess if you had enough whiskey, it wouldn't matter if there were bugs on you. I guess that's, I guess, okay. I get it. I just don't like bugs. I certainly don't like them in the house. Although there is one kind of bug that we have in our house that I tolerate, which is house centipedes. And they are really ugly, and they are just some of the most disgusting looking bugs. Just Google that real quick and do an image search. You'll enjoy it. But we have some house centipedes in our house. But they're clean, and they're super ugly bugs, and your normal visceral reaction would be to stomp the shit out of them immediately. But once you learn about them, you realize that they don't hurt humans, but when it comes to other bugs, they're like the serial killers of the bug world. There isn't a bug out there that house centipedes will not eat. And so if you've got a nice family of house centipedes in your house, it will basically kill every other bug that you have.
I'll take one.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're ugly as shit, and they move fast. They will surprise you with how fast that they move. But
talking about the dudes with like 3 foot long legs.
Yeah, they're covered in legs. Yeah, just if you happen to have the internet handy, just Google house centipede and look at images, and you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. They're surrounded by legs. It's like a little hockey puck of bug surrounded by these ugly legs.
If you get the dire centipede, you're really lucky.
If you can get one, just hold on to it like grim death, because not only will it kill bugs, but gophers, loose puppies, whatever happens to be there.
It's really going to be interesting when we're camping at Gen Con.
Yeah.
Because, I'm really going to have a lot of fun because the druid that I'm working on I've got this. I bought a package of 1,000 insects, and dude,
live insects.
Live ones.
I'm having fun with you.
Don't do that.
I'm gonna have you peeing in your pants the first night.
I would prefer not to pee in my pants if possible.
I already did.
Yeah.
So while I was witching about bugs, a ton of people came online. So Mike, I see you. Howdy.
How's it going?
Good to see you again. Gordon, Jennifer, welcome. Andrew, you've been online for a while, Andrew. I popped in about a quarter after. Yeah, you've been on Roll20 since I got on, which is fine. I have no problem with that. So
I logged on at 8 o'clock sharp when the email came.
I don't know. I've seen your blue square was online when I logged on about 7:15. So.
What is this picture that I'm looking at?
This is Master Bashir's conference room.
This is where you're at, or will be.
This is where you guys will be at. So, are we waiting for anybody? I know Eric can't make it. Is Matt coming tonight?
Matt and Chuck didn't respond to your email that I noticed, so I'm not sure about that.
Well, Chuck's here.
Oh, okay, cool.
He made it, but we'll just if Matt shows up, we'll just include him. But as it stands, and Dan came in with his tales of palmetto bugs, horrifying tales.
So Les, instead of screen sharing with whatever that large, comfortable-looking living room where is,
yeah.
Apparently you need to subscribe to something to get the Blues hockey to stream live.
You do.
I got kicked out of that.
So Hulu made me an offer as a St. Louis resident. I have the ad-free Hulu, which is like $8 a month. But if I wanted to get Hulu Live, which would allow me to watch the game tonight, I could do that for only $44.99 a month. So I thought about it, but I thought, you know what?
Screw it.
I don't know. $8 versus $45.
It's on channel 5.
Yeah, but I don't have an antenna.
You should.
I live in the 21st century.
You can get an antenna for $20.
You can get
watch
it at
lots of
Walgreens for
television.
$14.
Like one of those big antennas like my grandpa used to have at his house with the big kind of like.
No, you don't need a huge antenna.
Les, you've been in our living room, and our antenna for our TV is in that room. You didn't even know it. Yeah.
No, I didn't see any antennas in there.
But that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're tiny.
And depending on what kind of TV you have, it might have an HD antenna built into it.
Unless you live in the country.
Huh?
Unless you live in the country like me, because those big antennas don't work for me or the little ones, because we live out in Bumblefuck.
I always kind of imagine you and Jennifer having one of those big old-timey satellite dishes, like the 9-foot ones.
The ones that came out of Martin's ass in South Park.
There was like where I used to work when I worked at Caddyshack, we had one of those, and so we would when it was bad weather and nobody was coming to golf, we would watch the satellite, and you could be I was like, let's take a look at some Czechoslovakian news programs, and
hey Gordon.
Yeah.
One of those big antennas that you used to have on the top of the roof.
Yeah.
One of those, turn it and see if you can't get something.
Those used to work. I haven't had one for like 25 years, but I tried one of the new ones, the little square.
The square ones won't work for you if you're that far out, but those big old ones, they will, but you have to turn them just right.
Yeah.
You have to point them at the signal or something?
And you got to install like the 10-foot by 7-foot thing on the roof. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm good. We got Hulu and Netflix, and I don't need.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just read about the game on the internet tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be somebody will mention it.
Somebody will mention it.
Those of you who do have the big antennas like our grandfathers had, is there a score yet?
Yeah.
1-0.
Yeah, Bruins win it. They're winning.
Bruins are winning. Uh-oh. This could be trouble. All right. So last time, the last adventure was a bit of, some high highs and low lows there. Found yourselves, you were able to defeat the devil in the pocket dimension and the ancient Gebite warriors. zombie warriors and release the townspeople, bring them all back to Geb's Rest by application of the incantation that Rajana had in her book. Go ahead.
No, I just said there's Matt.
Oh, there he is. Hey,
Hello.
Matt.
Can you hear me?
Greetings, good man. Yep, we can hear you. So
All
it's
right.
just we were just getting started. You didn't miss anything. But if you gaze onto your screen, you will see the interior of Master Bashir's conference room, where you guys will be entering momentarily after we recap briefly. So you guys did...
I ordered a green tea.
Oh, perfect. You guys did manage to get everybody back to the primary plane and out of the pocket dimension, and trudged everybody back. Fiat and Bjorn being the only dudes that had horses with them at the time. Went back to Geb's Rest, gathered up some food, brought it back, met you guys halfway on the road, and everybody got more or less safely back to Geb's Rest. You stayed there for a couple of days, enjoying the thanks and esteem of the locals, while they had sent riders out to the south to gather up horses and get you guys to a place where get you guys properly across the desert to a larger city where Master Bashir has a office, so that you guys could get properly teleported back. There was a little bit of ups and downs trying to teleport Bjorn and his horse and Fiat and his pony back, but it got managed. And eventually, all of you found yourself back in Katheer, outside of Katheer at Master Bashir's villa. Being welcomed by him personally as you came back. Obviously he called for servants, brought you guys in, allowed you to rest. You guys, he's like, you must have had this has been a terrible encounter. A terrible time for you. You've been gone for weeks. I've been worried sick. That kind of thing. He's like,
Oh, we were on vacation actually.
Tells his servants to ensure that you guys have everything that you might require, warm water for baths, make sure the horses are Bjorn and Fiat's horses are taken care of. He immediately takes a look at Fiat and says, we must treat this man's burns. So immediately he is dispatched into the hands of Bashir's two physicians, and they take him away to wherever it is that they plan to nurse him back to health and get him
to never be heard from again.
To never be heard from again, exactly. Yeah, he was sacrificed immediately. They bring his head to dinner. Here, Fiat. After a few hours of rest, that kind of stuff, obviously you get invitations to you guys are getting used to this, but Master Bashir, when you return from missions, there's always a big dinner during which you guys talk business, and so this is no exception. It's in the big dining hall. There are many people there, not only you guys, but Master Bashir's court magician, several of his associates are all here. You guys, I'm assuming at some point, Leonard, I assume that you and Phineas were the keepers of Rajana's books. At some point, you present these to him, saying, we have retrieved the books, and you basically debrief him about what has happened. Tell him that Rajana is dead.
Who takes off his briefs?
No one takes off their briefs yet.
No one's taking off any briefs.
But you do basically tell him the story of what happened.
Right.
Give him the books, and he's very saddened to hear about Rajana, but he seems even more saddened to hear about Katheer. And while he welcomes Fiat and Bjorn, or Bjorn in this case, to his table, and Fiat, obviously is still in the infirmary. He does a bit of eulogizing about Katheer. He says, I always liked Katheer. He was a Katheeran man.
He owes me money.
He was a Southerner like myself, but he was also, he was
also a dick.
A strong warrior, not a dick at all, but he was a strong warrior. But he was also quite a scholar. He was a master of languages, knew many languages, and that's something that I've always appreciated, is someone who can be both an expert in the martial. In a martial expertise, and while at the same time having a scholarly bent. I've always tried to surround myself with people of that nature, and he was one of them, and he will be missed. And when you guys tell him that, you guys buried him along the road between Geb's Rest and the desert, he immediately dispatches people. He's like, look, this cannot stand. He's like, he calls over a couple of his associates. He's like, you and you, gather up 10 men, and immediately teleport down there, ride down there, gather up Katheer's body, bring it back here. And, and he tells the rest of you, Katheer will be brought back here where he will have a proper burial on my own land, with all of the appropriate, the appropriate religious and arcane, ceremonies, and so these guys go rushing out. They're going to go fetch Katheer, and they ultimately do. At that point,
so we tell them if all his stuff is missing, someone must have dug him up and stolen his stuff.
Oh yeah, because we stripped him there.
All of his stuff respectfully.
Now Bashir, he would never question the decisions of his agents in the field. He hires smart, effective people, and he lets them take care of business as they see fit, as long as the mission gets accomplished. If he sees, if he sees Beltran dragging around a giant scimitar behind his back along the long thing with Katheer's name carved into the handle, he's not going to ask a lot of questions. So it is this point when, after dinner and drinks are served and hookahs are brought out, and you guys repair to this area that's on the screen right now, this sort of conference table, and the court magician takes off, and some of the other guys depart as well. That he asks a few more questions about what happened. He looks at the books and says, show me the incantation that you use. And and then he calls his court magician back in. He's like, take a look at this, and I want copies of these made, and distributed, that kind of thing. And that's when Nolan and Sven sort of look at each other, and they both stand up, and they say, well, Nolan kind of starts, and Nolan has never been a voluble man, always valuable, always right there in a pinch. But he stands up and he's like, Master Bashir, I must apologize, but I feel that it is time for me to leave your employ. And Master Bashir's like, no, why would you do such a thing? And he's like, well, there are many things that I want to do in my life, and this particular mission reminded me how close we all are to mortality, and it feels to me that it is the right time for me to depart. And he's like, well, you will be rewarded handsomely, and I understand completely. There will be no hard feelings. You will always be welcome at my villa. Please do visit again, and I will ensure that
don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Your reward will be sufficient to set you up in whatever endeavor that you do next. He gets up and gives you a big hug and a kiss on each cheek, and it's and
he says, "Guard, seize him."
Yeah, another sacrifice. Another sacrifice to Zan Kithan.
Because we're going to have to loot him anyway, so it's better if we just sacrifice him first, then we loot him.
And then Sven stands up as well and says, Master Bashir, like Nolan, I too have seen my mortality and in this last mission, and I too feel it is time for me to leave your employ. And Master Bashir,
Nolan and I are lovers, so we really
yeah, really. That's got
I'm going with Nolan, my new husband. He says the same thing, and Master Bashir.
The car is right around the corner. You do know that.
He looks crestfallen. Gretzokar better not be around the corner. He looks crestfallen. He's like, I've lost 3 of my valued employees in one fortnight. I can't believe it, but I understand completely. I would never chastise you for it. Again, you will be rewarded as well, and I just send you along with my thanks. And he comes over and clasps both of your hands and a thing, and hugs you and sends you on your way as well. And with that, Solarian comes in, the hunter that you met at Geb's Rest. He comes in. I believe he's an elf, right? Right, Dan?
Yeah, very, very skinny, frail-looking elf.
Frail-looking elf, but he has that look about him. Even though he isn't physically imposing, he has that look about him that you meet in sometimes in people, where even though they may not be physically imposing, the way in which they move and the way that their eyes look seem to indicate that they may be much more dangerous than their physical appearance might suggest.
Kind of like Gollum.
Yeah.
Like Gollum, yeah,
Gollum,
exactly.
that's right. Gollum.
I don't know. It's a kind of a. I don't know if that's a compliment, but so Solarian comes in and Master Bashir is like my associate Solarian, who you met in Geb's Rest, has told me of all the things that you've done for him and for the people of Geb's Rest, and I just want to thank you again. And Solarian has actually approached me. We've had a conversation, and considering the losses that you've suffered, both in combat and through the need to make their way in to make their way in the world. He gestures sort of towards the door where Sven and Nolan have departed. It seems to me, and I've asked Solarian if he might not accompany you on your further missions for me in the future. And Solarian has agreed. Although Solarian, we will miss your game at our feast tables. I certainly hope that your apprentices are up to snuff. Solarian, as you may or may not know, is an expert hunter and he's been in my service for several years now, and he has always been proved to be remarkably adept at putting the finest game and fowl and poultry on my feast table. And I will certainly miss you in that regard. But he has been spending the last year or so training his apprentices. So I'm assuming that he claps sort of Solarian on the back. He says, "I would assume that your apprentices and your seconds will do this. Will do as good a job as you have done for me in the past. But for now, I feel like with the losses you've suffered on this particular mission on my behalf, that perhaps Solarian might accompany you on the next." And Solarian's like, "Hey, everybody."
It depends. What kind of equipment does he have?
Oh, he's got.
Stop looking at his crotch.
I don't know that he would bring any equipment in here. You guys aren't armed or armored or anything. This is more of like a
Vesk is never unarmed.
A social thing. Yeah. Thankfully, there are no Vesk here. I mean, you guys, this is not. You guys are used to these kind of meetings with Bashir. You guys don't come armored or armed or anything like that. And the Solarian's no different. He's dressed, in normal, everyday Katheeran clothes with an elven twist. Anything to add to that, Solarian?
No. I think that's what you guys, even as traveling back, that's what you would have heard from him is that he's a hunter and you wouldn't know much else about him yet.
Does he do any falconing?
No falconry. And maybe he would have let slip that he also does no spellcasting, which is unusual for an elf, but he has no particular magic ability whatsoever.
Yeah, so a traditional elf of the woods who can hit a bird's eye in the dark at 50 paces.
Although, reminder for you, Les, the characters won't know this, but as a reminder for you, he still has that face sight thing.
He has say that again.
He has face sight.
Face sight, that's right. So that might be why he can hit a bird's eye in the dark at 50 paces when the rest of us will be clonking into trees and stumbling over roots. So you guys are talking, and there's a probably an hour goes by as everybody is still having drinks and smoking tobacco out of the grand hookahs that are brought in and things like that. And when one of Bashir's servants comes in, and he seems to have an urgent look on his face, he comes over to Master Bashir and sort of whispers something in his ear, and says,
before he finishes, we say, "We didn't do it."
Bashir comes in and says, "My agents did what? They robbed and killed everyone." He comes in, and Master Bashir says, "Well, of course, send him in." And he says, "Wait! Before sending them in, have them hold in the antroom for a moment. Send for John Heil. I'll be wanting him in this conversation." And the servant nods and then goes away. Not too long after that, a person comes in. The first thing that you know about what's the word I'm looking for? The first thing that you notice about this person is that they are incredibly handsome. This man walks in. He has dark hair. He's a young man, but he's certainly not old. But you suspect, but certainly of a mature visage. I guess you'd say he's not a child. He's not a boy.
The Sean Connery.
Yeah, young man, but absolutely friggin' chiseled. And he's wearing, perfectly cut clothing. He comes in and
It's like you, Don.
kind of like Don. He comes in and, I mean, frankly, those of you who are teetering on the edge of staunch heterosexuality might find yourself being pushed a little bit over the edge, just due to the handsomeness of this man. So he comes in and, he doesn't say anything, but he sits next to Master Bashir. He says something, greets Master Bashir. Master Bashir, I've arrived. And he's like, yes. John, sit down. And then the servant comes in again and says, and announces, Sergeant Gillingham of the Royal Harbor Patrol is here to see you, Master Bashir. Indeed, send him in. And so Bashir stands up, as does this guy John Heil. So you guys kind of stand up too. And this guy who is dressed in the livery of the Katheeran, Royal Harbor Patrol. You've seen these guys near the harbor. They are essentially in charge of
patrolling it.
Yeah, patrolling it, making sure, catching smugglers kind of thing. So in Katheer, there's a difference between the shore-bound constabulary and the sort of waterborne constabulary. It's two different organizations. Katheer, as you know, is a huge port city, and frankly, the Harbor Patrol is a large and influential organization in its own right. Perhaps even more so than the land-bound constabulary. But their influence extends only as the local Katheeran constables like to say. Their jurisdiction stops at the sand. They have no jurisdiction at all in the city proper, which is kind of weird because they usually stay at least if not on the water all the time, they certainly stay close to it. But you are well outside of the city and far away from the harbor at this point, so it's very curious that this guy's here. Master Bashir says, please come in, sit down, and welcomes him warmly, offers him drink. He's brought some iced wine. And he says, so Master Bashir says,
wine.
Iced wine, absolutely. So he says, Master Bashir goes to him, so Gillingham, Sergeant Gillingham, how may I, as humble merchant, be of service to you? And so this guy sort of looks he looks a little embarrassed to be here, but he starts out. He goes, Master Bashir, obviously you have been a friend to the Harbor Patrol, and for decades. Your service to us has all. Our friendship has always been great. So it is today that I come to you because of that friendship, and because I know that you are an incredibly intelligent man with resources that we in the Harbor Patrol may not have. I have a bit of a problem, and he kind of looks around at you guys. He says that you and your agents might be helpful with. And Master Bashir is like, do tell. And he says, I have there was an incident this morning that you may have heard of or not, but a ship has appeared in the harbor. And Master Bashir sort of smiles and says, ships appear in the harbor at Katheer all the time. And this says, yes, that's true, but this particular ship materialized in the harbor, and it's like no ship that I've ever seen.
Dibs.
At which point Master Bashir is like, you don't say. And he says, please, you are, and you can tell that this harbor patrolman, this sergeant, is kind of reluctant to talk in front of you, but it's obvious that he needs to ask Bashir for this favor. So he's like, all right, and finally, and Bashir sort of senses this. He goes, Gillingham, you may speak freely in front of in front of my men. He says, well, all right then, let me get out with it. The vessel first appeared on second watch, very early this morning. No one saw it enter the harbor, and there was no warning of its approach through the flotsam graveyard. One instant the harbor was clear, and the next instant it was there.
I think it was on a 3-hour tour. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
There was a large man with a white hat and a blue beard. At one instance, according to the few eyewitnesses we could find at that time of day, it seemingly just faded into existence there in the water. Our gillmen and wave rider scouts reconnoitered it initially and reported there to be no signs of life on the decks, and that it was seemingly constructed of a single piece of seamless, opaque, white crystal. At which point Bashir is, a white crystal, you say? And he's like, yes, it seems to be constructed of that. The harbor patrol and the wave riders immediately set up a cordon around the vessel to contain any threat it represented, and the constabulary and the Star Watch were placed on alert, and we alerted all the authorities, including up to the council and the whatever passes for a king in Katheer. No threat appeared imminent when we sent a harbor guard boarding party. They reported the top decks to be completely deserted and all access to the ship's interior to be blocked off by a single sealed portal. There are glyphs on it, which are incised throughout the ship's hull on this crystal, but there's no actual writing on the bow as far as we can tell. We took copies to the city's sages, and the script was identified as Aslanti. It translates into something called King Zeros, Xeros, which we believe to be the ship's name. Now, the sages went immediately to work and came up with some old travelers' tales that talk of a ghost ship that wanders the great beyond, sometimes referred to as King Zeros of Old Aslant, which is a magical vessel launched by the Aslanti shortly before Earthfall. It seems impossible that this could be that ship from legend, but frankly, we do not get many ships made of opaque white crystal materializing in our harbor on a regular basis, so frankly, we're at a bit of a loss. The sages want to board the ship, but we think it'll take more than just brains to get into it, as it might be trapped or guarded. My men are on the ship right now, sort of keeping it safe, and we have, like I said, we've surrounded it with ships and Harbor Patrol has it surrounded. But we've heard tales of your agents here and their ability to deal with this kind of thing and handle themselves in a tight spot. And so that's why I'm turning to you now. The last thing I need is a dozen dead scholars and some monstrosity from beyond time unleashed on my city. I need you to send your men, perhaps to get on board, find a way inside, do a bit of poking around, and figure out if this is something I should be worried about, or it just happens to be a discovery for the sages. So Bashir sort of turns around to you guys and says, well, you haven't had much time to rest, I must say, but what do you think?
Promise anything.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
This seems an intriguing proposition. I don't feel I could... I put it to you. What do you think, man?
Okay, tomorrow morning, but we can't promise anything.
It is late in the afternoon. He's like, we can. Bashir turns to the guy and says,
"Have we been paid yet?"
We have not.
No,
we have not.
Good question.
I don't actually have that payment yet. We'll get to that. But Bashir goes to Gillingham. He says, "Looks like the men are willing to do this for you, but and women." He looks at Lama. But they do need a night's rest. They've only just returned this morning, and from a long and arduous mission on my behalf. They'll need the night. Can you hold the ship in abeyance until then?" And Gillingham says, "Well, we'll do our best. Frankly, we've surrounded it, but if it can fade in, it can fade out. So we'll certainly keep an eye on it. But yes, if you could come tomorrow in the morning, then we will take you out to the ship and so that you may investigate it. We'll keep our men on there until then." And he gets up, leaves to go, and says, "Master Bashir, thank you again for your service, and thank all of you for agreeing to take a look at this thing. We'll have small skiffs ready to take you out to the boat first thing in the morning when you arrive." And
breakfast burritos.
Breakfast burritos obviously will be brought.
Okay, cool.
You like the extra hot salsa, do you not, Beltran?
Obviously.
Obviously. And he bows to Master Bashir and walks out. Bashir kind of looks at this Heil guy and says, "You know what to do. He goes, allow me to explain. This is my associate, Mr. Heil. He is a long friend of mine, and he is very familiar with the workings of the political and law enforcement organizations here in Katheer and other areas as well. Whenever I have dealings with the political apparatus of Katheer or must deal with law enforcement, Mr. Heil is usually my representative. So I've asked him to come with us today to accompany you on this in this regard. And so Mr. Heil, the handsome Mr. Heil, sort of bows to you. He doesn't say anything, but he bows to you. And with that, Master Bashir says, "Well, I am certain you are weary from your travels and from your adventures. Please, by all means, finish the wine, that kind of thing. But get a good night's sleep, and we'll regroup here for breakfast burritos in the morning, and then send you on your way." And with that, he says, "With that, I must turn in. It's been a long day." And so he begs your leave and takes off.
And the subject of our payment
will be discussed at some future time.
Depends on how many of you survive the ship.
Yeah, no kidding.
That'll be great. I just don't have it written down.
Hey, Les, you did say with the change of the rules, we get to respec our characters, right?
That's correct.
Because I wasn't going to, but if we're losing our third cleric, I was kind of branching towards a non-cleric route or a non-healer route. So I'm going to kind of respec mine back towards the healer spec.
Okay. Yeah.
There's not anything major change, but
that goes for everybody. So anybody who has built their character on the assumption that the P6 rules would remain in place, you get a free respec, and that goes from first level. So if you want to respec all the way from first level, it's just a one-time respec for everybody.
Does that mean I can change classes now? Go for that hybrid.
That's one heck of a respec.
Well, you've done so much as a wizard. I mean, I don't know, why would you change? Yeah.
I like to think that Rindle had a brain injury at some point in his last adventure and forgets most of it.
Well, after the elephant stomped on you,
Yeah. Yeah. I was popular with the ladies, and I got stomped with the elephants, and it all went back.
Yeah, you've got PTED, post-traumatic elephant disorder.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? All right. So does
this mean people can respec their A team also?
No, absolutely not. You want to respec A team now?
Well, it's the butterfly effect.
My God. You can respec B team, not A team. And just to reiterate the new rules, we go to 8th level, but the moment you hit 9th level plus 1 XP, that character immediately retires in the fashion of Nolan and Sven, and you start out with a new character at 4th level.
Can't they just stay at stunted 8th level?
So there were some people that asked me if that would be an available option, and honestly, I don't like it for a couple of reasons. One, it takes sort of the fun out of. Half the fun is moving up in levels and gaining new powers and making those decisions on how your character becomes, sort of matures and becomes, fully in flower. And it goes back to the idea, and I put this in the email, it goes back to the idea of what B Team is all about. B Team is about trying new things, and I mean, we're not technically, although we've sort of wedged in this whole Master Bashir thing, B Team is a series of unconnected one-shots.
Right.
So this is an opportunity for experienced players to try out new character ideas, make mistakes, that kind of stuff in a consequence-free environment.
So it's like open mic night at the comedy club.
A little, yeah. And for new players to get a handle on how to play this game, so that ultimately they can become tournament players and sort of join us and become A team players. So I wanted to address that question to you, Andrew. You brought up the very good question of, can people, the way you put it was great, can people matriculate into A team? So let me say your B team character cannot matriculate into A team, because the A team campaign and the B team campaigns are very different. However, as a player, there's every possibility. Now, B team requires a certain level of expertise with the rules, and it also requires a certain willingness to be there all the time. There's a certain commitment there.
You mean A team?
A team. That's what I meant. Right.
Fucking Stanley Cup Finals, and I'm playing.
I get it. I get it.
But I don't know shit about the rules, so I guess I'm relegated.
Speaking of
That's what
trying
Doug
new
is
things.
for. Doug will help you.
Speaking of trying new things, who's going to talk to the handsome guy?
I was going to say the breakfast burrito. I've never had.
Breakfast burrito. All right, I'm up. But I'm not talking to him that way.
Okay.
What's his name? Heil, last name Hitler.
Is this doesn't mean culture.
He was introduced you guys as John Heil.
I'm willing to have sex with him, but it still doesn't mean I'm gay.
Well, if you do it in a John, it's not. It's just
okay.
Guys are
Does this mean some of our beloved characters from the past, like Kaltra and Mike Dowd's character, can come back, and Shane's character?
Into B teams? Absolutely.
Terrifying.
In fact, if ever she wanted to, Doug's daughter Tori played a game with us one day. It was New Year's Day.
Yep.
A couple of years ago. A B team character, and her experience points are still valid. If she decided on some Sunday night that she was bored and wanted to play, she absolutely could step right in.
I remember Alex playing with us one time, and she wanted to be a pacifist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did not go well.
No,
Alex ruins a lot of
let's talk about this.
Would you read? But you sometimes read those stories. There was one story I read online about a guy who had like 3 daughters, and he was a big gamer, and he wanted to teach his daughters how to play. And so he finally got them. His youngest daughter finally got to his age. They were like maybe like 13, 11, and 8. And so he ran a dungeon for an adventure for them, and they were supposed to fight a wolf pack that was menacing a village, but instead they went out, charmed the lead wolf, and made friends with the wolf pack, and then turned around and attacked some like an orc camp, a couple of miles away with the wolves. And he's like, women just play this game different.
Yes, they do.
All right, so you guys relax. You get a good night's sleep, and then the next morning you come out for breakfast burritos. Master Bashir is there. This John Heil is there as well. He looks to be enjoying another breakfast burrito, as the same as you. However, he seems to be eating it so handsomely that you guys find yourself stopping just to stare.
Man, I wish I was that burrito.
Just to stare at this absolutely fascinating young man eating a breakfast burrito. And then one of Bashir's servants sends a note. He says, Master Bashir has been called away. He has to do other things, but he wishes you all the best of luck. And he swears that the DM will have your rewards for you via email at some point this week, so that you know that you get paid, and Snapper will be mollified. But in the meantime...
Hey, Doug, I have a note written down for it.
I think I'm muted here.
No, you're not.
No,
because
you're not.
the church has to be paid, dude.
We were hoping you were muted, but that wasn't the case.
Stop it.
I have a note. Don't worry, Doug. We'll get it.
I'm sure you will. Somebody will. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's.
Okay. So you guys, I'm assuming you guys
the castle.
Saddle up and head into town down to the. So you have to go through the whole city.
We're going to Pathfinder's Baywatch Edition. Is that where we're going?
Yeah, exactly. You guys are doing down.
Right.
Actually, you're not going to the beach so much as you're going to the docks, which, as I mentioned before, in Katheer are voluminous. Katheer is a huge port. it is really sort of the gateway to the southern oceans, and does a huge amount of trade, not only on the eastern coast of Galarian, the eastern lands of Galarian, but the southern lands. It really is a spot.
As I recall, the last few times they let us near boats with the B team, we burned ships into the water.
You guys did burn that one ship, but this ship is made of crystal. So
we don't have the best track record. That's probably why they're letting us do this one, because it's not made of wood. So
yeah, let's work on what burns on crystal.
All right, so you guys moved down there, and you were picked up by well, not picked up, but you know what I mean. There is a
where'd we go?
Of constables that escort you down to the docks. They know that you've been coming, and down at the docks there is a large squadron of harbor patrol that are there with 3-man skiffs. They're small boats, but even as you get close to, as they lead you down to the docks, they don't lead you right to the commercial areas of the docks, which seem to be moving. Yeah, I mean, commerce continues on. They're taking you off into a different direction, and out as you sort of pass down, as you're getting closer to the docks, you can see in the harbor. First thing you see is there like this huge wall of ships. I mean, it's like Party Cove for a quarter of a mile, where the ships are all posted together, and then on the other side of those ships is this large crystalline ship. It looks like nothing you've ever seen before. The harbor patrol guy, Gillingham, wasn't lying. It looks as if it was carved rather than manufactured out of a single immense white crystal. Like milkstone or something like that. It does have a few things that he didn't mention. On one end of the ship is a large sort of black crystal that points outward into the sea, almost like where an outboard engine might be. But it's not an engine. It's just a big, glossy black sort of obsidian crystal. It's probably 30 foot tall, and at least some of it is submerged in the water. You can see that it goes all the way to the water line, and it looks to go below that. On the opposite side of that black crystal are these two immense, what look almost like insect wings. But those of you, does anybody have like sailing skill or ocean going, anything related to the water?
Sure.
Okay, Phineas, you probably do. You have like sailing
fresh out.
or any sort of skill in that regard. Nobody has any.
Oh, I thought you meant contact lens solution.
Oh no.
Snapper eats fish.
Oh yeah.
Phineas, you have anything related to sailing?
No, I have a -3 on swim.
Okay.
We have like ship burning skills, so does that count?
I think one ship burned. I don't know that would. I mean, I don't know that would give you.
Okay, so we're not that experienced in it, but
yeah. I mean, burn another ship. We got skill points in that.
Okay, all right.
So there's these like two sort of weirdly insectile wings that kind of come off from the side and up into the air. So it's and they're huge. So they probably go up in the air, probably 70 or 80 feet in this weird sort of triangular thing. Imagine like a ship designed by Picasso working in crystal. So there's these big sort of wings that seem to be made out of the same sort of crystalline material, although even from here you can see that it's at least partially translucent. You can sort of
Picasso or Dali?
No, Picasso. It's very sort of, the ship itself is very sort of like jagged and has very cubist lines. It's not the if you look at a wooden sailing ship, there's the curved lines as it cuts through the thing. This is not like that. It's very sort of chopped and there's very sharp corners.
Have we been informed of any crew?
So according to Gillingham, who sort of talks to you as you guys are working down there, he's like, we've had crew on there. We've had our guys on the deck, but I've prohibited them from trying anything. I've sent orders out this morning that pretty soon they should be. They seem to have discovered what looks to be some sort of portal that may lead inside the ship. And
so no crew on the ship. No, I mean not not your guys, but this ship just showed up without any personnel.
That's correct. We haven't seen any evidence of any crew at all.
Okay.
And no movement on the deck, and I mean, there's no portals or anything. There's no windows on the thing, so we can't see inside.
Which is why I called dibs, because there was no one on there.
He goes, I've alerted my guys that when we arrive at the thing and start out towards it, that they can go ahead and take a crack at this portal that they found. Once you guys reach the ship, my men will stand down, and at your discretion, you can either keep them on deck to assist, or they can evacuate the ship and leave you to your devices. I'll leave that up to you what you want to do. So you guys get down to the actual water, and there are men, waiting there with skiffs, and there's like, these guys will take you out to the cordon, and then from there they will take you to the ship. Any questions, observations, anything like that?
I'm going to roll a knowledge religion and about other religions that deal with crystalline ships, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Can I also ask, is Heil Gordon's new character?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, he is.
That's I'm doing a knowledge.
I was going to do something, but if so, I'll just be quiet.
Okay. 33 on a knowledge religion. So, when it pertains to crystalline ships, you're not sure, but you do recall that certain old Aslanti religions, they had talked about, that there was a fair amount of discussion of working in crystal. The Aslanti, that, as you recall, many, at least some of those Aslanti relics, as you have seen or heard about, have, several of them have been worked crystal. To your knowledge, Aslanti were workers in crystal.
Aren't they lizard-man kind of creatures, the Aslanti?
The Aslanti were human. At least lore says that they were human, but they were ancient humans. Now, the Aslanti Empire was destroyed by an event called Earthfall. This is like 10,000 years ago. Imagine about the same time as the manufacture of the first pyramids, 8 to 10,000 years ago. Not a ton is known about the Aslanti, but they are considered to be humans. But they were destroyed, and they were a human society that had made incredible strides both in the arcane arts and technologically. And a lot of which was lost. It is said that that it was their magical prowess that actually caused the Earthfall. Now, the Earthfall is the remnants of what an astrologer or astronomer today would consider to be a large asteroid strike on Golarion. About 8,000 years ago, an event of a substantive, what they would call a starstone, hit the surface of Golarion and split apart, impacting multiple areas and causing widespread destruction. And it was that event is commonly referred to in the lore as Earthfall. But the Aslanti society and Aslanti culture was completely destroyed. Only relics remained. No one that is alive today claims Aslanti. Oh, well, many people claim Aslanti heritage, but the reality is, for those of you who deal in practical matters, is that the Aslantis that existed on Golarion at that point were so utterly destroyed by Earthfall that none of their genetic heritage could possibly still exist.
Last I rolled a 23 on a perception. Do I see any kind of what would be considered religious symbols carved into the?
Not from this distance. Now, this guy Gillingham has told you that there are runes carved into the crystal, but you can't identify them. You're still probably 200 to 300 meters away as the boats begin to make their way towards the cordon. This cordon of ships is probably 50 meters back from the ship itself and goes quite a bit around it. It's not a full circle, but enough of a circle where the ship, decided to try and sail away would almost certainly have to sail through this cordon of harbor patrol.
For every 100 meters that we get closer, like I want to re-roll my perception check.
Okay.
And any subsequent bonuses and all that other kind of stuff. So.
Okay, Don, your knowledge planes check, Leonard's knowledge planes check would tell you that you would have heard that the Aslanti had created many types of vehicles, including ships that were capable of transversing through the planes, especially on the astral plane. They were roughly analogous to modern-day Githyanki vessels. Those of you familiar with the planes know that the Githyanki often ply the astral plane, conducting trade. In fact, you've heard rumors, even this far south of an attack by Githyanki airships on the city of Agorian, the Chilaxian capital. But you don't have any evidence of that. It seems a bit far-fetched, frankly.
That's total fake news.
Yeah, it's fake news. But Leonard, you would know that the Aslanti were reputed to have manufactured a wide variety of astral capable vessels. Now, you don't know any of the kinds or the types or what they were.
Well, let me use my knowledge history and see if I know what the kinds and types and.
Okay.
28.
28 knowledge history. All right, so.
Good.
So Phineas, you at first you hear Snapper talking about, yes, the Aslanti were historically workers of crystal, and Leonard jumps in and says, the Aslanti also created many types of vessels that were capable of traveling the planes. And Phineas jumps in and says, yes, the Aslanti fancied themselves a multiplanar society. They were very prodigious arcanists. And they considered themselves in many ways like the Melniboneans of Morkakian mythology. They considered themselves to almost be a multiplanar society. That's how well they were familiar with the planes and how prodigious their magic was for traveling. Crossing into the astral plane is a huge deal for modern people, and well out of the scope of anybody's capability if you're not a master magician. Teleportation spells are probably as close as anybody normally gets to traveling through the planes, since teleportation is kind of like burrow through the astral plane to arrive at stuff. It's how they kind of work. But Phineas would tell you that the Aslantes were probably the in the truest sense a multiplanar society, in that they existed on the astral plane and the prime material plane with equal.
I hope that was helpful.
I was helped.
But I don't talk like that. I usually talk in verses and pentameters.
All right, you guys push off from the shore and begin making your way to the boat cordon. Let me see who I've got here. Hold on just a second. Phineas, Leonard, Snapper. Hold on. I can't see because I'm wearing contact lenses, which is probably stupid. Rindle, Bjorn, Fiat's not here.
It's still 1-0.
Okay. What period?
Second
period.
And not to give you more bad news, but Cardinals just lost.
Yeah, it's not a surprise.
Okay.
The Cardinals were still playing the Cubs, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on ESPN.
Right.
You know the Cardinals and the Cubs are going to play in London this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. All right, let's see if this works. So you get to the cordon, and you can see the boats kind of like open up to pass through, and your little like two-man skiffs kind of pass through. They sort of sideways a little bit, and you guys pass through, and then they reclose themselves. Let's see.
Is the cordon blue?
It's a cordon sanitaire.
Les, let me know when we're within 60 feet of the ship.
Well, no, remember, I want to take another perception check at 200 yards.
Okay.
200 meters.
You can absolutely see that there are indeed runes on the ship. So as you get close, you can get past the cordon. So you're within about 50 meters. You couldn't see anything until then. It's very strange because of this white crystal. These runes are carved into the side of the crystal. But they're very hard to see. It's like, unless you had them like perfectly in shadow, where the shadows were entering into the carvings, they're really hard to see. But once you get close, not only, Doug, do you see that, does Snapper see that there are runes on the ship, but it looks like it is covered with runes. Completely, from waterline to gunwale.
I want to do a linguistics check and see if I recognize and can read any of this.
Okay.
25.
Is it a natty 20? You got a natty 20?
Yep. Oh, it comes with swearing.
Well, apparently you guys can see all my other stuff.
No, not this time.
What other stuff?
Yeah,
like that time
looking back at the Bashir's room here.
Don, is that correct? You guys can see everything?
I could.
London, France, Les's underpants.
When I scroll down, I can see the other 2 levels of the ship.
Well,
I couldn't. I wasn't paying attention.
Hey, Don, your middle name doesn't happen to be Scott, does it?
No.
He's looking. You still have GM vision, right?
All right, we're doing it this way then.
And if it was, I wouldn't have told less.
I wasn't even looking.
Okay.
What's going
on?
on?
Neither was I.
It's all dark.
I see something now.
Can you guys see anything?
I see a circle where we are.
Okay. Let me put some light in here.
I see a die showing that I rolled a natural 20. 5%.
Just reminding you.
All right, hold on a second. Of course it didn't work because of course it didn't. Hold on a second. All right. Let me talk about yourselves while I do this.
La 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 la. The industrial range.
When we first went to
burrito selection
down, you'd see 2 other layers of the ship and the wonderful treasures that await us.
So you know where the artifacts are.
They got, it's the seafood buffet.
Yeah.
It's not full of mind flayers, is it? I hate mind flayers.
I didn't see any mind flayers.
All right, hold on. We'll be right as rain in 2 shakes. Hold on a second.
We've had too much rain. That's not right.
All right.
We can see everything.
So is
there?
I can see that I have 35/35.
What's this dude here? What's that?
That's a light source.
Those are the lights.
Oh, I was looking like an ear of corn.
It's a torch. Thank you.
An ear of corn.
It's not an ear of corn. It's the magical lighting corn of
that floats out in the ocean. And
yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, it's the end of the second period, so.
Okay, well, that's not good. All right, so you guys are approaching. You can see, so you see this crystal ship. You can see the wings over on this side. On the right side, you can see those. And then the black crystal sort of protruding out of the back like an outboard motor. It has these 2 nacelles that kind of come on either side of it, but the black crystal itself comes way above. So this portion here, this black crystal, is probably 12 to 15 feet above the deck. The deck itself is sort of, you see where it says up and up? So there's it's like segmented, almost like an insect, not really. So this area here is lower than this area by 10 feet. So you can.
Why are they all up? How do you go down?
It's pointing in the direction of the stairs. Those ups referred to as the stairs. So this area is lower than the areas to the left and right of it. This area here is lower than those areas. So as you guys approach, you continue, the gunwale, the rowers are sort of pushing them. you hear what sounds to be sort of like it sounds like a pop, and then it sounds like a scream, like ah! And smoke begins to pour from one of the decks.
From within side or just
On
from
top.
on top?
From which deck? That deck. Okay.
And smoke begins to pour from a couple of areas over there. Then you hear like, hey, some voices like, hey, what's going on over there? Hey, oh no, hey, what? And then you hear those popping noises again, and more screams of pain, and more smoke pushing up from the rear. And then you hear, ah!
I think the boarding party just got 50 crittered.
And there are
I don't know.
There are points on all three of the risen decks where you see smoke coming off of the deck, and you've heard these things. You don't hear anything else. The guys, the Harbor Patrol guys, look at you guys and are like, "What do you think that is?"
We will soon find out.
What happened to Bill and Joe?
I think your boarding party's getting toasted, dude. You might want to row a little faster.
Do we have anyone that can put this out at all?
Well, it's just from here. You don't see any fire. You just see smoke coming off of there, and frankly, it doesn't. It's not spreading or anything. Unlike like on a wooden boat.
So we don't see anything other than smoke rising from the decks.
Right.
Okay.
Hold on a second. I got to change one quick thing here.
Does it smell like burning flesh?
That's my 22 perception was to see if it does it smell like burning flesh.
It does. There is a whiff of burning flesh on the.
Wait a minute. What happened to my reading or recognizing the runes?
We set enough people on fire that we know what burning flesh smells like.
Do you know, Phineas? Do you know any Aslanti or anything like that?
Yeah, my best friend is in Aslanti.
Of course they are. Is that one of the languages you know?
Well, no.
Okay. Try a
linguistics.
Yeah, try a linguistics check.
I just did. It was a natural 20 with a 5.
The natural 20. So you don't know Aslanti as a language. But you recognize these runes as being ancient Aslanti runes that you have seen before. Now you're not sure what they say, although as you get a closer look at them, you suspect, at least from some of the runes that you recognize and some of the things that you notice, that they have relationships to runes that exist now, Elvish runes especially, and you recognize that at least what you think is that these runes carved on the outside of the ship represent the story of the ship, like where it's been, what things that its crew has done, like the legend of the ship. Now you can't really read it, because a lot of it reads, as far as you can tell, it reads kind of like a, sort of almost like a manifest, a bill, a list of ports of call, things like that. But there are other runes that you don't recognize on there as well.
Those are STD checkups.
Those would be the STD checkups, yes. The smoke continues to pour off of there. The guys in the Harbor Patrol are just like, they're really sort of worried, and they want to get you here. You can see there's 3 boats parked. There's a little wooden kind of like hooked ladder that's obviously been thrown up there by the Harbor Patrol guys, because there's no, like, it's just sort of like hanging there.
Right.
And a couple of, 3 boats are like tied around it as you guys approach.
Les, once we're within 60 feet, I should start to sense any major sources of magic.
Okay.
Sitting in the boat right next to you.
This whole, there's part of it.
Well, other than everything you guys are carrying, which I already have listed out in my head, I'm sure.
This whole ship radiates a shitload of magic.
Okay.
To the point where your magic sense sort of
overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, it's like It's like trying to spot someone with a Bic lighter when you're in a stadium surrounded by giant floodlights.
Got it.
Those small magics get lost. But yeah, this whole thing radiates a ton of magic.
So can I use comprehend languages to read the rune?
You mean the spell comprehend languages? Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'll cast comprehend language.
All right. So this, you sort of take it up in the middle, and certainly the runes begin to make sense. You take it up in the middle of the story, and basically it's like, and so the crew of the King Zeros of old Aslan traveled across the astral plane and parlayed with the Githyanki. Then they moved on to the city of Brass, where they laid in for 6 months, taking on magical items to trade with the Abyssals, and that kind of thing. And it's just
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's like one long sentence.
Okay.
But obviously this ship was some kind of far traveler. According to these runes, it went everywhere. And the weird thing about these runes is that there are specific runes that refer to the ship, and then sometimes it refers to the crew of the ship.
So it's mentioned an improbability drive.
It does not.
Wow.
But it does. But sometimes the runes sort of refer to itself, and the ship seems to refer to itself in the first person.
Wow.
To when it refers to the crew of the King Zeros. Sometimes it says the king did this, the king did that. You're not entirely sure if that means that the ship did something or went somewhere, or there was a guy named King Zeros who was either on the ship. It's the way it uses pronouns is really weird.
Well, I share this with the gang and see what they think.
All right. While you're sharing that, I'm going to fix myself another drink. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Now that we're sharing, how about a group hug?
Well, we're all on the boat together, so it shouldn't take much.
No, we're not. We're in 5
No, we're
different
not.
boats.
We're in separate boats, separate skiffs.
But they're all like huddled up at the ladder right now.
Let's get on the ship.
We're all in separate skiffs, and Les hasn't pulled out a skill challenge and see how many of us drown.
Hey, don't give me ideas.
I know. Well, he's away from he's AFK for the moment, so totally safe, right?
Until he gets to the video, and he's like, "Oh man, I should have done that."
Yeah.
Yeah, next week he'll get.
Next week he'll be. I forgot. You guys.
Well, you can only go up from here, so let's do it.
In my first year of playing, one of my favorite memories is a skill challenge where Mub tried to drown himself several times in a dinghy as we were trying to cross the city. Cheliax, right? Mub, right, Don?
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that. I am back.
Okay.
Never get on a boat and plate mail.
What did you guys talk about?
We all have artifacts now.
Bjorn's probably feeling a little bit worried because he's clad head to toe in metal. He's like you tie a rope to him, he could be an anchor.
It's not a pretty picture.
All right, so Leonard threw himself across the water towards the boat.
Well, we were at the boat. Mike said we were at the boat.
I see all the boats here.
Mike's not the DM.
He met the casino queen.
All right, you guys come pulling up. The smoke still exists. Lama, you're in the boat with the handsome young new guy.
Lama.
And right now, all I know is it's still smoky. I don't know what else is going on.
You don't know what else is going on.
That's not any control.
Let's be honest. We never know what's going on.
Yeah.
What did you say, Gordon?
Not any control of John. I don't have control of the icon.
Okay, hold on a sec.
At some point soon, John is going to say, I'm going to summon my partner. Don't be surprised. It's going to make me look a little bit more scary than I look now, but it will make me more effective to deal with whatever we're dealing with.
Your partner, huh?
Yes.
Ooh, excellent.
He'll go
All right, try and move him now. See if that works.
Yep, that's good.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So you guys come up and you kind of like wedge yourselves in between those things. You're gonna have to do a little bit of dancing, but you can get across the boats and up the ladder onto the deck. What do you do?
I get across the boats and onto the ladder onto the deck.
Okay, Bjorn, knock yourself out.
All right, so Leonard, you go up on the deck.
I was going to let the big old armored guy go first, but...
Always a good plan. And by the way, with the thief not being here, I'm probably the next stealthy if you want me to do any reconnoitering.
Okay, so this, as you guys sort of like slowly climb up there, you don't see anything other than the smooth white crystal of the deck. One thing that you notice though is that this deck, if it became wet, would be incredibly slippery. It's not wood. There's nothing here. It's just a sheet of crystal.
So the best slip and slide ever.
Yeah, so it could really sort of become a problem if this got like super wet.
Are there rails at the edge?
There are no rails at the edge of any of these. You can't create water? Excellent.
Yeah, 14 gallons of water. Let's do it.
Friction free, baby. All right, so you guys all sort of make your way up there. These guys, the Harbor Patrol, stay here with the boats. And I'm just going to put all you on the deck. Oh, not the boat. Not the boat.
We're dragging the boats with us.
Bring the boats. Drag them up. All right, Beltran, where are you? I'm just going to punch you.
I'm on the ladder.
Yeah. You want to stay on the ladder or?
I'm cool.
Okay. All right. So you guys sort of get up onto the thing. The boats are parked down at the bottom of the ladder. Starting to get quite a collection there. There is smoke off to your left and to your right up on the decks. But yeah, I mean, once you guys are on this ship, I mean, it is a very strange ship. And Phineas, you noticed that the runes that you were reading on the side, that you and Snapper were reading on the side of the boat, they are also carved onto portions of the floor as well. This does not keep the floor from being super slippery if it were to get wet. But there are runes carved on the ground as well, like on the floor, everywhere.
Okay, Les.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having Snapper run best speed up to here.
So you're doing what now? You're running up those stairs?
Running up the stairs, yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to stop at the top of the stairs, take a perception check, look for runes to see if there's anything particular that I would recognize, like a particular trap or a glyph or anything else like that.
Okay.
It would cause, like they set something off. So I didn't do very well, 17 on my perception, but.
All right, you see a couple of things. First thing, and probably the easiest thing to see, is you see two bodies still on fire. Although they're starting to smolder out a little bit, of two what are obviously very dead harbor patrolmen. They are on the ground, sort of splayed out, and it looks like something or someone caught them on fire. You do not see any creatures up here. So you're not sure what could have caught them on fire. You do not see anything that looks like a trap, although the floor of this deck is probably even more densely covered with runes than the subdeck that you guys came up to.
All right. Ignoring the obvious magic from the ship itself, I'm going to detect magic with the intent of looking for like a glyph of warding or some kind of like a magical fire trap or electrical trap or that kind of thing.
So you don't see, you cast, is this a perception check or do you cast something?
Well, I cast
tech magic.
Tech magic. I'll roll another perception if you need me to, but I mean.
So you do see on the back of the black crystal over here, you do see what look to be some runes or glyphs that are different from those carved into the floor, and they also seem to radiate magic. In this case, it's conjuration magic.
Okay, I'm going to roll a spellcraft check. I got to see what my plus 13.
Ugh.
Okay, that's a 1. However, if there's any combination, because I was thinking would this be like a searing light or some kind of other clerical spell that would have done this kind of damage? I mean, like an arcane, I would not recognize an arcane, with that role, but I might still recognize some kind of other clerical spell, that kind of thing.
To you, it doesn't look like magic. I mean, it's hard to tell because it's just fire. Right. Yeah, I mean, you can't tell. You don't recognize it immediately as any sort of clerical spell that you've heard of or know of. I mean, a flame strike would do this, but you guys were in the water. You know it wasn't a flame strike.
You have seen the column.
You totally have seen it. Yeah.
Sky, right. Okay. Well, somebody else do something, or I can keep talking. But
all right. What about the rest of you? What are you doing? I see Lama eyeballing those stairs to the right, and who is that? Solarian heading up behind Snapper. What do you got?
I was just going to offer to Snapper. I also have detect magic and decent spellcraft. Is there something you want me to take a look at?
Well, I mean, I would say that I'm just kind of being proactive. So I relay what I have found, and if you can be more adept at, here's, I guess my would say, do I aid him? I can aid you in your roles or perception or what have you.
Yeah, like those runes that they were looking at there on the side.
Yeah, like over here, I point them out to you, and I say, well, I can't really tell what they do, but this person, these two people here are.
Can he roll to help me?
Set them on fire. So
extra crispy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're burnt. Now they're not like super burnt, but they're definitely dead. And I mean, so here's the thing: actually incinerating a body like a person is a really difficult job.
Yes, it is.
It takes a lot of high heat. And frankly, even crematoriums are not sufficient. There are still bones, metal. Any metal that some people have in their bodies oftentimes comes out in the ashes. In this case, it's much easier to kill a person with fire than it is to burn them up, and that's what happened to these guys. They're not burnt up; they're killed with fire.
Does it look like the flame came from like this direction? I mean, is there like a
you want to try like a health check maybe? Like a heal check might be able, like sort of a forensic heal check to see how they died, kind of thing.
All right, yeah, let me look at that. Yeah, that would work. Plus 13.
Yeah, pull out your Quincy.
Jeez,
damn, look at this
16
cavity.
I'm not that kind of cleric.
You're not sure. I guess I mean, from your point of view, considering how the body landed, how it's lying on the ground. I mean, it's possible.
As a free action, I call, hey, I need another cleric up here to check my work.
That was my heal roll, Les.
Could I be of assistance?
Come
on up here. Somebody come up here.
So Solarian sort of looks at this body and is like, again, it's Solarian, you're like, well, it's possible that something came out of there. But as Snapper told you, that those glyphs on that thing radiate conjuration magic. And you know that Leonard could certainly tell.
Conjuration is my spell class specialty. It's my specialty.
Yeah, so conjuration is not fire is not typical.
Oh, geez, the Bruins scored again.
Damn it.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Les.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was talking to Ken as she just got home. Did we roll for initiative? I'm looking at the rolls here.
No, you're still investigating.
Okay, got it.
How do I erase this thing?
Second roll is
not a fight yet.
Okay,
so Les,
Leonard, let's
my
walk away from
spellcraft is the same as my knowledge arcana, so I'm just going to roll that.
Okay.
I just got a nat 20 on spellcraft.
28
okay, so
for spellcraft for the
glyphs.
For the glyphs.
So Solarian, you and Leonard would come to the same conclusion looking at these glyphs and say these are wards.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, so I mean, Leonard would kind of look over at Solarian and say, "These are not evocation," and Solarian would go, "Yeah, that's right." So whatever these glyphs do, with conjuration magic, they do not shoot fire because that would be an evocation spell. Both of you are pretty sure that that's the case.
What are they warding against?
Well, it's some sort of conjurational ward. I mean, it's hard to tell. The glyphs themselves are sort of not hugely informative, but I mean, to your mind, this is probably some sort of damage ward, like if somebody tried to hurt the ship, maybe something like that. And Leonard, you would agree?
Yeah. The bodies here.
Yeah.
Was it more like internal combustion where they just caught in flames from the inside out? Because you said they didn't burn up.
Give me a heal check.
No, I don't do a heal check. It's Arcana.
Heal.
Well, now you're doing forensic pathology on a dead body.
Right.
I'm assuming you guys put these guys out.
Yes.
Oop, hold on.
It's a good roll, Don.
That's not bad. So 19
plus 4.
Plus 4, so 23 on a heal check. So they did not burst into flames from the inside. In fact, if you look, you may even take like a dagger out and cut inside to kind of take a peek at some of the underlying tissues. They are intact. Most of the fire damage is surface damage to the epidermis and dermis. You see evidence of third-degree burns. You see evidence of scorching on the clothing and on the hands primarily, where these guys were thinking. Cause of death, from your opinion, seems to be breathing in actual flames because there's a lot of damage to the mouth and throat. It looked like they were shot with flames as opposed to burst. They definitely did not burst into flames from the inside.
Okay.
Old way to go.
All right. Now, how about you guys? So that's the poop deck. What about you guys heading up on the middle deck there, Lama and Beltran, and I'm very curious as to what Mr. Heil and Mr. Phineas and Mr. Bjorn are doing as well. And Rindle.
I'm just following Llama just because we got a healer on the other one, so I figure we need a healer over here too. So
Llama, what are you looking into over there? You're looking at the bodies. There's 3 guys up here in various stages of smoldering now. Their fires are going out. The smoke is burning out. But they are all 3 of them are dead. 2 of them look like they're right next to each other. One of them is by sort of standing by a or laying sort of in the middle of the deck there. But again, there's nothing else up here.
I just rolled a perception check just to see if I saw anything on the bodies.
They look to be, well, I mean, you obviously notice Harbor Patrol livery. They are armed. They have swords, cutlasses in this case. One of them has a small, a light crossbow that, was, to your mind, seems incongruently, it was not cocked. It was not loaded. And it's got a few scorch marks on it, that kind of thing. You don't see any you're not sure, your mind goes towards martial things. You're not sure if it was discharged and, that there's a crossbow bolt somewhere around here or that it was never loaded. But it is not loaded now.
So the next set of stairs to the right, I'm confused by the up. Does that go up to another deck?
it goes down.
It goes down into another lower deck. So it's almost, if you look at this ship from sideways, it's almost like a battlement, right? It has high places and low places. The low places are like where you guys are here. The higher places are these up above decks where the things go up. So the up in the arrow refers to the direction and the, I guess,
that's low. That direction goes up.
Yeah, the direction of the stairs. So those stairs all go up. So, and you can see the direction. So the ones that the stairs that are down to your lower right, away from you, go down into this middle area.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to keep going this direction to see what's going on.
I'm going to stay right behind her.
Okay. So you're going to go down the stairs. All right, Lama, let's come back to you. I want to find out what the other guys are doing. All right. So Bjorn, Rindle, Hyle and Phineas, what are you guys doing while these guys all sort of split up and really sort of divide the party into a couple of different places? He said innocently.
I'm cowering until someone gives me a Scooby snack.
Let's go catch up with the llama.
All right, so you guys are going that way?
Go catch up the llama is what I tell people as I move that direction.
Okay.
I was going to finish his spell, and
I'm going to go that direction too.
Okay. Can you move your guy?
Come on, Snapper.
He's away from his keyboard, so I'll move him.
Okay.
I don't know how I made myself diagonal, but I can't make
put
myself
this
turn
fire
back.
out. Les.
Okay.
And as I move over to llama, I'm going to stop at these three guys and put these fires out.
Okay. How are you putting them out? Just patting them out, kind of stomping
Patting
on
them out. I don't want to use a water elemental.
Okay. I don't know.
I could use water, but it'd make it slippery. So
Yeah.
Well, so you guys notice as you go up there, and Phineas, are you going to go up there with him?
Well, I was going to sing Gloria. Can I go with them at the same time?
Please don't sing Gloria.
All right, final countdown. Whatever, man.
I hate Gloria.
Thank you.
I don't like it either, but
I don't know. So just as an aside, St. Louis has this.
Oh, I forgot to tell you the story
What story?
about why they sing Gloria. I was going to tell you Friday.
I bet it's stupid.
After I forgot my laptop story.
Okay.
that was an amazing story.
Not an
It was
It was very long too.
The Gloria one is just as long.
I see that Mike cast invisibility on himself.
Maybe just email it to us.
Oh.
Who does?
Who cast invisibility?
Well, Mike is not in the frame of his picture here, so I assume he cast invisibility himself.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there he is.
This
Okay.
character.
Oh, it's a picture. Okay. All right, Phineas, I'm just going to put you up. Are you going to stay down there, or are you going to go up on the deck?
can I sing and move at the same?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely you can.
Then yeah, I'll go with them and sing Final Countdown since Gloria seems to offend.
do the dance moves.
You can sing Gloria if you want.
I don't dance.
So that's 30-foot radius, right, on that?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. All right. There you go. There's your Gloria aura. Did I do that right? Okay. And so, yeah, you can move your guy to where you want to be. And Rindle, I've righted you, so you are right side up again. All right. So, Lama, you step down those stairs. And Beltran, you kind of see Lama kind of looking back and forth. She's got kind of wide eyes. She's looking back between those two spheres. And those two spheres that you see on there, they're actually not on the ground. They're on the walls. So, you're not sure, but they shimmer with this kind of light. They're the only thing like this that you've seen on the ship, and you think maybe they might be doors.
Right. I'll tell Lama that, and tell her to, at least until everybody gets here, just don't touch them.
Okay. And Lama, you notice one thing. There is an axe lying on the ground near one of these sort of circular kind of glowing portals. I guess maybe portals.
Okay.
But it's just laying there. You're not sure.
Can we speculate that maybe they tried to open the portal and this is a ward that went off on them? Trying to figure out what happened here. But
I don't know. Whatever. I mean,
something triggered.
Go ahead.
Come over here.
Leonard, looking at those bodies, whatever killed these guys, they weren't ready for. None of them have any weapons out.
It happened way too fast. Okay.
Les, can I do a honed detect magic on the axe and the two portals?
A honed detect magic, like specifically look at it, or just
ignoring the background magic of the crystal tip?
Yeah, sure. So the axe seems perfectly mundane.
So I'm back. So obviously I need to roll initiative.
No. We just moved.
No combat.
Sure, that you're going to fight us.
That's a dead body. I just saw the black things. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's a dead body. You can fight them if you want.
No. That's okay.
I figure it's only a matter of time, really.
They want initiative.
All right, so Solarian, the axe looks perfectly mundane, does not radiate magic at all. In fact, to you, it looks to be standard issue Harbor Patrol. It's a utility axe, essentially, the kind that are kept on ships and used by the Harbor Patrol all the time. The portals themselves radiate pretty strong magic. And let me make sure I have it right. What kind of magic it is? I'm assuming you're going to want to know the school.
Yep. And anything about it I can glean.
Okay.
Are these portals that look like they're here all the time, or portals that look like somebody put them there?
No, they look like they're there all the time.
They're pretty permanent looking.
Okay, these are also. Oh, these are abjuration magic.
What does that mean?
Abjuration magic. Hold on, let me reach.
There's a lot of protections.
Yeah, the abjurer uses magic against itself and masters the art of defensive and warding magics.
Right. Anything else I can tell?
Not really. I mean, they just sort of like they're obviously not solid. These are not doors in the traditional sense. They're portals. They are very shimmering. They're opaque. But they seem to be almost, frankly, for lack of a better term, some sort of like force door is what it looks like.
I let the party know that.
The axe. It's from one of the harbor guys then, right?
You don't know, but it does seem to be a standard issue Harbor Patrol axe. This is very you've seen this 100 times on ships and things like that. This is a ship's axe. It seems very out of place on this ship, though.
How do you get up here?
You have to climb. Somebody did, though, because that body just burned itself out. There's a guy
fire up there.
That's what I'm speculating. Since no other weapons are out and this axe is out, maybe somebody didn't follow orders and tried to maybe take a whack at this portal and then triggered a ward spell.
Decent guess.
Yeah.
Possibly.
What does that mean to us?
Is that the only weapon that's visible? Because that's a pretty good idea.
Well, the dead Harbor Patrol guys have weapons on them, mostly cutlasses. A couple of the one Lama looked at had a light crossbow on him, but that crossbow either had been discharged or had never been loaded. It was not loaded.
Yeah, I'm thinking none of them had their stuff drawn and this came out of nowhere, but maybe somebody got impatient and said, "Let's see what's inside," and triggered a ward spell, and it got fried. But either the ward spell has been triggered or it's reset. And so we should probably test that somehow, right?
Pretty powerful ward spell. Looks like it took out everybody on the deck.
Well, this is a warship from a bygone era that
Very powerful
shouldn't be here, right?
Yep.
Well, 6 guys, 3 different decks. And as far as, you guys were approaching when it happened. You heard those pop, pop, pops, and then you saw the smoke. It looked like it happened pretty quickly to everyone, if not all at the same time.
Right.
To reverse engineer it or metagame is can you think of a single spell one dude could cast to make everybody pop in 3 different decks?
With fire, no.
Right.
Even with ward spells, you can do whatever you want. You just
right.
Capture spells and have them have a
well, even more interesting is why the axe is by the portals, but the closest dead guy is either that one, which there's no steps to get over there, or these guys here up the steps. What happened? Did they run? Now you remember you did hear some yelling after the pops.
Leonard's current theory, which he is not really sharing with anyone,
until now.
Then why are you sharing it?
Well, okay, I won't share it then.
Why doesn't Leonard just share it with everyone?
That That was some fantastic role playing, Don. Thanks.
I have.
I wonder if you aren't far from the truth where an axe wielder unwittingly activated these wards which attacked everyone on the ship. I wonder if the wielder was either completely disintegrated or teleported elsewhere.
Could he have fallen through the portal, maybe?
Possibly.
There's a portal basically steers down, or some sort of ingress into the ship, right?
Yeah.
Does anyone have Dispel Magic?
Yeah, MAGIC.
Not spell, dispel.
Oh.
That was good. Extra 2 experience points there. Les?
I do not have it memorized.
Or how about somebody who's got some summoning creatures handy? You want to maybe try a summoning creature directed to try to.
I do have a wand to dispel magic, but with only 2 charges on it.
Okay.
Can we try a summon creature to open one of these portals, or attack one of the portals while we're standing safely off ship? See what happens.
We have evidence of
I'd rather cannon fodder find out the hard way than us.
These are the only 2 unique things. These are the things we have to get through to get in here. I mean, there's nothing else on here.
Not that I've seen.
I agree. The only other place I could examine was the black crystal in front, and I was unable to discern a particular function for it as of yet.
Right. So this has to be the way in. I just would rather try and dispel it, or at least understand it better before we mess with it. Hey, Les, would just a generic knowledge arcana or spellcraft or something provide some clues onto what these are or how these operate?
Give it a shot. Device. Yeah, possibly.
How about a disabled device, Les, for
it's I mean, it's possible.
Kyle's gonna do a disabled device. He has the thieving ability, disabled device.
Okay.
So,
Heil, despite your prodigiousness at this curious skill, this thing. I mean, if this was a locked door or a locked chest or some sort of trap mechanism that was mechanical in nature or something like that, you'd have it sussed by now. This thing just presents an absolutely blank face to you. There's no mechanism. There's no. I mean, you touch it a couple of times, and when you actually put your hand out to touch it, actually, I have a question for you. What is what's your highest ability score? You could just send it to me if you want.
What did you ask that to?
I asked that to John Heil.
Okay.
You can send me that secretly. Okay. All right. So
this disabled device does include magical items like a thief would. So
it does. Yeah, absolutely, it does. The problem is this does not give you any sort of public face. It's a blank wall. But as you're sort of like looking around to try and figure, you're trying to look at that. Your hand bumps into it sort of touches this opaque sort of force wall that this circular force wall that does it, and you can feel the wall sort of like. It almost is as if like 1,000 little tiny needles are touching your hand. Then you pull your hand away, and you can see on the wall is an outline like a handprint in this sort of gray on the thing, and then you can see from the handprint it begin to expand outward, and you hear in your head some sort of like, it's almost a modern person would consider it to be robotic, but a sort of a strange voice in your head that says some words that you don't understand, like and then you see this kind of like move out until the whole portal now is that gray color that it was that your hand started. It's usually sort of like a pearly white, and it kind of moves. Now it's like gray.
You just triggered the Atlantean Alexa there.
So 2 things. First, I didn't really finish my thought before.
Okay.
So John Heil, you guys are going to figure out he has the ability to summon an Eidolon. He's a summoner like Ilindar is in the other game.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually summons to merge with his Eidolon. He's a little different from Mike's character. So when he said he was going to summon his partner, what happens is he had basically it looks like kind of a werewolf type creature, but it's more like a werefox. Very intimidating with kind of an elongated neck and elongated arms. And it superimposes itself on top of John Heil's character.
Cool.
So he looks like a werefox right now?
Yes, something like that. Yeah, kind of a weird looking werefox, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Yeah, how would you describe that? I mean, so underneath is John Heil, and then around him is sort of like insubstantial, like misty, or is it like physical, like a merging of 2 bodies?
You know, we talked about that, or I talked to you a little bit about it. It's very weird. I mean, this class is called a synthesis, and there's a lot of kind of controversy on the internet about how it actually works, what it looks like. So I don't really know. I mean, it basically just says that there's a flicker of kind of crystalline, like you can see into the body of the Eidolon so that you can actually see there's something inside of it. But I don't know how to translate that into something that, you know.
No, go away.
So anyway, they're basically merged.
You guys ever see The Fly on TV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Help me.
All right, so John Heil suddenly takes on this strange aspect, and you can see him underneath, but around him and sort of merge with him is this furry sort of foxes are vulpine, is that right? Mm-hmm. Sort of creature, long snout, neck, ears, you know, and it's almost like wrapped around him. You're not sure if they're both him or if it's 2 different creatures. But now he has become something other than what he was. Although he's still there.
And the other thing, he's going to call out to Phineas, who he knows, having heard him talk earlier, that he can translate languages. He's going to try to get Phineas to come up here, and he wants to explain to Phineas what's going on with this portal and see if Phineas can actually do what Heil did to one of these portals and see if he can understand what the ship told me that I couldn't understand.
Should you try to repeat it to him?
Yep. Well, I'll just tell him that I'll explain to him what I did and what you said happened, that I touched it and I was communicated with by what I assume is the ship, but I couldn't understand the language, so maybe you can.
Score again? Now it's 4-1?
What?
Yeah, it's 4-1 Bruins.
Ooch.
It's 3-1.
No, Cass just said that on the TV that it may have
just happened.
Yeah, it just happened.
Oh, all right. Phineas just passed out.
So, John, you tell Phineas sort of like you explain to what happened, and basically, he tells you that he brushed his hand up against the thing. He felt this very weird tingling sensation in his hand. He immediately drew back, and there was the sort of outline and like a handprint in this gray color on the portal. And that from there, it expanded outward to encompass the entirety of the portal. And in his head, he heard some words in some other language which he doesn't understand. And that's what prompted him to sort of like become this new creature, this new amalgam of creatures.
Yeah.
He repeats those words to you. You're not sure if it's sort of a bad game of telephone or what. You think that maybe one of those words is something like pass, but you're not sure. It's like trying to translate, ancient Aramaic or Babylonian. It's just, it was a different conceptual time.
Yeah.
You think pass.
So linguistics
maybe one of the words might be. It kind of does. That's how he's getting this.
I thought he had to understand language like the spellcast.
Yeah, it's gone now though.
Oh, I thought it lasted for hours.
I don't think it lasts for hours, does it?
It lasts for a while.
Let's have a look at that.
I know Snapper's got it memorized.
Maybe it does last for a while. Let me see. 10 minutes per level. Okay, so yeah, so it would last for a while. All right. So you do mention some of the words, and Phineas, you think that John is maybe not repeating these words correctly.
Go figure.
But the idea you get from what he's telling you is that whatever has spoken to him has said something like, passage approved.
Okay.
Now the portal is still gray. Is this gray color? It's a different color. So it's this portal here.
Enter in. Which one?
Mark it.
So
yeah, it's that one right there. The left portal is gray. The right one still is the same.
I was going to whisper in Phineas's ear, touch it, touch it.
Well, so I guess I'll use a perception check to see if I can figure out what the heck these portals are. I mean, would that make sense, or should I use a knowledge check?
Well, I mean, perception checks would just be what you see. Or can detect, with your 5 senses. A knowledge check might be like trying to suss out the underlying assumptions that go into whatever it is you're seeing. So, frankly, for this, I would probably go with a knowledge check.
Okay.
Knowledge Arcana, spellcraft, knowledge planes, portals, doors,
knowledge,
ancient languages.
Okay.
Icelandic bullcrap. Any of those knowledge skills would be.
All right, I'll go with knowledge Arcana.
Okay.
23.
All right. So based on what John Heil has told you, and based on what you're seeing, you suspect that somehow John has managed to activate this portal and maybe open it. Although it doesn't look open. So maybe he can pass through it, or maybe you guys can pass through it. You don't know.
I cast light, and then tell Llama, prepare yourself for whatever you might find, and enter the portal.
You hit that portal hard and are bounced back.
I didn't. I told Llama to. I want her to go first. I'm right behind her.
Llama hits that portal hard and is bounced back. Llama thinks about this and says, I think I'm going to hit that portal hard, and I don't want to do.
Boston just scored again, by the way.
Oh, you're kidding. It's turned into a friggin' blowout.
Yeah, it is.
All right, well,
that's good, because the last time they blew us out, we won the next game.
Okay.
I was going to walk up to the one he touched before and touch it again and see if that gray handprint expands and leads into some kind of opening.
It does not expand. Your hand passes through.
Did Llama hear passage approved as the possible interpretation of what Heil had heard?
That's what Phineas says, yeah.
Huh.
Well, Llama's maybe let's go. Llama.
Maybe approve for him then, because he's the one who
reach
touched
out
it,
his
right?
other hand and grab Llama's and say, follow me.
I go. I got my scimitar out of my right hand, so I'll give him my left.
I would just say whatever we do with if this is a warded door, or at least, or this is maybe an intelligent ship, let's be kind to it and try to violently try to enter, because I think it'll go badly for us. At least that's my intuition.
Okay.
I could use perception or something to back up my.
All right. So
random spoutings of.
Gordon,
no.
Tell me again what you do with Llama.
I'm going to start going into the portal, and before I leave, I will
grab her and pull her along
and say, follow me, but keep touching me. And I'll say that to everyone. Try touching everyone as we go, because if I've got approval, we don't know that everybody has approval, but I do. So let's see what happens with touching.
So if my arm gets decapitated.
Yeah.
Use your left arm. You're not your sword arm.
Yeah, you have two.
All right.
Armitation.
Gordon, John grabs hold of Llama's hand and begins taking her thing. You guys are watching, and you see John disappear into the portal. Llama sort of rears back a little bit, but then she looks like she is passing through as well. Is anybody going to try and grab Llama's other hand?
Yeah, I do.
All right, Solarian, you grab Llama's other hand, and as you get to the portal, you hit it, and it stops. Llama's hand disappears. Your hand stops at the portal.
Oh. It doesn't like me.
It does not.
I'm going to try touching the portal just like I saw John do.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to move John. Right. Send me your highest ability score.
For just Don or for everybody?
Just Don. Okay. Don, you put your hand out, and because before you do that, after John Heil passes through and Lama passes through, that grayness that exists disappears, and it becomes again that sort of like weird shimmery force field. They're completely gone. You put your hand out and like touch it, and you feel this like, and you hear a voice in your head, and again it turns gray.
Bjorn, come with me.
Okay.
So I take Bjorn's hand and I go into the portal.
Okay. You immediately crash into John and Lama.
Okay.
Well, get out of the way.
who are on the steps going down. And I'll put you over there. Hold on a second. And I'll show you what I mean. So Bjorn disappears as well. Hold on a second. Let me put you on there. You see what I'm doing here?
Yep.
Okay. So wait, before you do that, you can't do that. Stop moving around.
I haven't moved.
Cut it out, you two. All right. So basically, you guys see a couple of things. So the rest of you up here on deck, you see at first John Heil and Lama, they disappear through the portal and it becomes shimmery again. You see Leonard sort of go up to it. He puts his hand against it and you see it turn gray again. He grabs hold of Bjorn, drags him through, and they disappear. At that point, you hear something that sounds like a popping noise. And things materialize.
Ooh, there's critters
on the deck.
Maybe
this wasn't here before.
I hadn't considered that.
Phineas, you might have wanted to move up with us.
Okay. Couple of things are going to happen. All right. So before we go downstairs, now that I've effectively separated the party,
yep.
I'm going to journal that I was terribly wrong about my theory.
Solarian, Beltran, Rindle. So Snapper, you and Rindle are on the upper deck. Beltran, you and Solarian on the lower deck. Snapper and Rindle, you guys are the first to see this because you're sort of high up. But in between you guys, you see these guys sort of like materialize out of seeming nowhere. They are small, about 2 feet tall, humanoid creatures that look to be made of metal. Instead of arms or hands, they have what look to be metal tubes, and they begin walking towards you. Over there, you look up. Snapper, how'd you get over there so fast? You can't run over there, but just like if you like.
I thought I originally had thought I'm going to move over to this, but you said I was on the upper thing. So
yeah, you're on the upper thing. This is one of the upper things. So go right back to where you were.
All right. Got it.
All right.
You should be by the portals, Les. He was talking to Heil when.
That's true. He was over here. All right. So you see these things. You also see them on the upper deck, but even more so than that. And Phineas, you, Beltran, and Solarian would notice this immediately. This guy shows up. You also can you see him standing over where the other portal is, and this guy looks like he's not, unlike the little dudes, he is not mechanical. He seems to be made of earth or clay. The best way to describe this guy is he's about a 10-foot tall dude made of clay that someone put into armor and gave weapons to.
Who would do that?
So it's like a clay dude.
Or is it a golem?
Like a large golem or homunculus, that kind of thing. All right. So that's up top. We'll roll for initiative in a moment. Down below, as you guys are all crammed up on this thing, because at the bottom of these stairs is another one of those clay dudes. Again, he's like a 10-foot tall guy standing in front of the stairs. He has a what looks to be some sort of weird crystalline axe in his hand, although you've never seen an axe design like this before. It's got a really weird curved handle, and the blades go in like 3 directions, that kind of shit. But even more disconcerting is there seems to be a hole in the crystal deck immediately behind him, and coming out of the hole, which is probably 10 to 15 feet across, is this weird plant kind of coming up, and you can see it's like tendril-like fronds and vines are kind of like all sort of swaying and everything. The moment you guys pass through the portal, you see it kind of like just go, and all of these like leaves and tendrils are sort of pointed at you and sort of waving like it's sniffing the air. You know how snakes will shoot out like their tongues to sort of sniff the air and taste the air? It's kind of doing like that, where it's like shooting out little tendrils and leaves are flapping, kind of like it's like sensing the air. But this thing looks like it has come up from below, broken up through the floor, this crystalline floor, and is now sort of up in this room. So you suspect that there's a lot more plant underneath. Let's roll for initiative, why don't we? Just for fun. What was that? Natural 1 for Leonard.
First next round.
I'm liking it.
Oh, a lot of 11s.
Let's see here. Beltran with an 11. You guys are rolling so fast. Another natty 1. Nice work, Bjorny.
Wow. I thought 5 was bad.
I got the gentleman's 11.
Solarian got an 11. Everybody's getting 11. 11 is seems to be the popular thing. So, Lama, Nolan, which one's got the 20?
Niles 20.
Lama, Niles 20?
Oh, yeah.
Niles, sorry. Okay. Phineas, would you get
24?
Look at this guy. Kicking it old school with a 24. Lama with a 4. Excellent. Okay. Let me roll mine. So, hold on a sec. That doesn't seem fair at all.
What?
Okay. Okay. Let's try that. Whoa. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Let's try that. Okay. All right, hold on a sec. I have to make one little thing. How? Ooh. Okay. Nice. Okay. All right. So one quick thing. Let me get this real quick. All right. All right. First things first. Got it. All right, cool. All right, first things first. Phineas, you're the top of the order here. You see that this made of clay dude, this golem guy, is on the move. He's probably going to jump down to where you are next turn. These two dudes are coming over to the edge. These little guys, although you can't really see them, you can hear them. They're sort of like kink, 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 as they kind of like the metal of their little feet goes across the crystal of the deck. Solarian's kind of looking around. Beltran's got his bow out. What do you do?
Well, I've been singing, rocking in the free world.
Yep.
And just to be clear, that's inspire courage?
Yes, +2 for all that. So it's made out of clay, so probably not susceptible to daze or hypnotism. I'm gonna pass. I need to figure out my next move.
You mean pass? Do you want to delay so you can still
delay
on this time?
Yeah, delay.
All right. All right. So you're delaying. My turn next. So he's gonna start doing that. All right. Heil and Lama, give me a perception check.
Okay, that's Heil. Oh, shit. Wait a minute. That's 14 plus 8, so 22 for Lama and 27 for Heil.
Okay. Lama, you don't see it, but Heil, you do see it. There is a creature, some sort, on the other side of the plant. The plant is being very distracting, and it's hard to see through it, but you do see that there is some sort of what looks to be some sort of, to your eyes, cat-like creature on the other side. The problem is not only the plant, but it looks to be at least partially translucent. But even weirder is that it has a couple of little, so it's about 4 feet tall, so about the size of maybe a panther. So not, it's not a house cat, but it's not like a dire tiger or anything like that. But it has multiple arms coming out, and at least 2 sets of other arms coming out of its body. And in those arms are 2 small bows and arrows. And it looks like it's got 2 arrows, and it's pointing sort of at you guys, but it's also translucent. It's you don't know what's going on. It hasn't shot, but it's very strange. You've never seen anything like that creature before. It looks like a small cat with multiple arms, and in those arms, they have bows and arrows.
So it's a cross between a cat and an octopus.
Kind of, and it seems to be at least partially translucent. You can see through it.
Well, I am pretty perceptive.
Well, this is Heil. You don't see any of that up there.
No.
All right, so Heil, what do you do? It's your turn.
So I got nothing that seems to be like it wants to talk, right?
Here's your problem. This clay guy in front of you is stopping. He's about 11 feet tall, but he's blocking the the stairs. You can't get past him without rolling an acrobatics check or pushing him back in some way. But immediately behind him is the plant, which is coming up through the thing. Now, you're not sure if this clay guy is controlled by the plant or he's just standing in front of the plant. The plant doesn't seem to be harming him, but it's definitely interested in you guys. And then there's this cat-like creature on the other side with the bows and arrows. You know what the hell that thing is.
I use a knowledge botany check.
You don't even, Phineas, you're upstairs. You don't even know the plant exists.
I can smell it.
What does the plant smell like?
It smells a bit like a skunk, like Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
What does the entrance we just came through look like now, Wes?
Behind you?
Yeah.
It looks the same as it looked from the outside. It is this round portal that has this shimmering waves of force inside it. It is opaque. You can't see outside, and you can't hear outside either. Okay. And you know you left several people back there. There are a couple of people behind you. Leonard and Bjorn are behind you, sort of crammed in there, and you guys are squeezed on that little stairway until somebody gets out of the way. So the squeeze rules will apply until you get off the staircase. But yeah, you don't see or hear anything through it.
Turn back and say, see if you guys can go back that way we just came. And I guess I'm going to try to do an acrobatics to get past this column.
Okay.
Feel good? Let's try it.
20 is not going to be sufficient. You kind of like try to slip through, and you see this thing just kind of like put out an arm and stop you. It moves very quickly for a creature made of clay. And you sort of bonk into it. It does now get an attack of opportunity, which it will take. And it's sort of like it stops you, and then it sort of like kind of smacks you. Ooh, yikes, Mundo. That is going to be tough.
Does it have a mouth?
Does not have a mouth. 23 to hit?
Yes, that will hit.
Ooh, all right, that is a slam. Let's go ahead and do that. So 12 points of damage. And this thing just smacks into you, and there are, how do I describe this? There are pieces of this clay in the wound. So you get like sort of like bashed. And so you get sort of thrown backwards against Lama on the thing. And, you know, there are pieces of the clay is on you. I mean, you get like sort of like crunched backwards, and pieces of its body are stuck to you. So you're kind of like bonked up, and you try and pick one off, and they don't seem to want to come off. I mean, it's not like a huge amount of this clay, but like particles of it are on you, and you can't see. They won't wipe off. Okay.
The acrobatics check was a move. Do I still get a regular action?
The acrobatics check, he actually gets through. He just had the attack of opportunity against him. Unless the guy has
if you're trying to go through a space, you don't get through if you fail it.
Yeah, you don't get through.
You stop right in front of him, and then you get the attack of opportunity.
Yeah, so that's what's happened. He did not get through.
If you're trying to go past someone that there's an empty space, then you still get past them. They just get the attack of opportunity.
Right.
Hold on. So you can use if an ability. Here. Yeah, if you attempt to move through the enemy space and fail the check, you lose the move action and provoke an attack of opportunity.
Okay.
So you did not get through. You provoked the attack of opportunity. He did hit you, and you are still there. So you do have a
standard action left.
A standard action, yeah.
Okay, free action. I'm going to say, does anyone in this room wish to speak with us?
Yes. Oh.
I'm going to pause for about a second. Do I hear anything?
You do not hear anything.
Okay, then I'm going to try to bite this thing.
Okay. You're gonna bite him.
Yeah.
Fight.
Okay.
Want to hit him?
No, it does not. Almost.
Okay.
AC 22, just so you know.
All right, that's all I got.
All right. In response to this, it reaches out and tries to grapple you. It is going to you hear a couple of things as this is happening. So it's gonna reach out and grapple you, or try to anyway. And then, but immediately before that, you hear from the other side of the plant sort of a weird, sort of hissing, kind of like sound that may be. I mean, you don't recognize it, but some sort of. I mean, the plant didn't make any noise, and you think it's that cat on the other side is making some sort of like noise. You're not sure if it's giving him an order, but it makes the noise, and then it tries to grab you. So here we go. Let's do this. His CMB is 14. I think he misses you in this case. What's your CMD?
17.
He missed you. So you see him sort of like come around with both of these, his big sort of clay-like hands, and tries to like sort of do this, and you kind of like duck out of the way. So that's what he do. Up on the top deck, this one jumps down, boom, and then tries to punch Solarian. Well, no, let's do it randomly. So Solarian 1 to 2, Phineas 3, 4, Beltran 5, 6. 1, Solarian. All right, so he gets a 34.
What the hell? Yeah, of course.
Boom! So he hits
Plus
you.
19?
Yeah, he's pretty tough. Hold on a second. Ooh, 6 points of damage, minimum damage, but you also find that you have these particles of this gray sort of clay. He just kind of like jumps down and just goes bam and just sort of backhands you, you're like, oh, and you look down and you can see on your face and on your shoulder where he hit you, even though it's just a glancing blow, you have these particles of this clay on you, and you're like try to knock them off and they won't come off. And then this one, let me see, I gotta find out what it is. He comes through here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And he's like boom, 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 boom. And you guys can see him moving forward. Rindle, you can see him moving towards the edge of the deck. He does not seem to be heading for the stairs. He looks like he's just going to jump off into the lower area. All right, so those are those guys. Now we get into the 11sies, Solarian, Rindle, and Beltran.
I got a question.
Sure.
This is a guy made of clay, like dirt?
It seems to be, yeah, like some sort of like clay or soil. He seems very sort of roughly made, but he is wearing armor.
Okay. So it's an earth elemental essentially inside armor.
It's not. You've seen. Well, I don't know if you've seen earth elementals. It's not an earth.
Oh, he's seen earth elementals.
Oh
yeah, I was gonna say. Leonard has summoned many an earth elemental in his time. These are not earth elementals.
But it's made out of the same stuff an earth elemental would be made out of.
Well, kind of, but not really. I mean, it looks. I mean, it's a different color and texture. Earth elementals.
It's not stone, right?
It's not stone.
Right.
Earth elementals
are more rock. This is more clay.
Yeah, this is more like it's gray, like it's clay.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna free action. Tell Solarian, get over here so we can create a unified front. And then I'm going to take a step back.
Now remember that there are no rails here.
Right.
Okay.
Step back and then take 2 shots at this guy.
Okay. Go for it. 22 and a 13. A 22 will hit. Shunk.
Hang on, let me check something real quick. Okay.
All right. What'd you roll?
Max damage. Almost max damage.
Almost max damage. Okay. The arrow sticks into this guy, and you see him kind of look down. But, he sort of reaches down and sort of pulls out the arrow. And you can see it's like remember when you did projects in clay in elementary school, and you would stick like a pencil into the clay, and then you would pull it out, and there'd be like a little hole in the clay. But the clay itself was not really damaged all that much. This is kind of like that. He pulls it out, and it sort of like peels back, and these little pieces of clay will fall on the floor. But he doesn't seem to be massively hurt.
I would like to present an argument.
Okay.
So, knowledge history, Mr. Bill and Mr. Hand. That he was more damaged than you're suggesting.
That's a good point. I think that's an excellent observation. This is not Mr. Hand. However.
Okay.
Actually, if he took damage, add 2 damage to that. I forgot about the singing going on.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Oh, the singing. Wait, Inspire Courage, that doesn't affect damage, does it?
Yeah, it does. +2 damage.
All right.
+2 chance to hit, +2 damage.
All right, there you go. Do you see the power bar?
Yep.
Okay.
Teeny bit.
All right. That's Beltran. What about Solarian? What about you, Rindle? So, Rindle, you have a couple, like one of these little robot dudes is headed your way. The southerly one is headed your way. And he's moving, frankly, faster than you prefer.
They always do.
As far as you, Solarian, you're sort of by the steps. So you got this guy that just hit you, and he hit you really hard. But you've got the steps right there. Well, Beltran's like, come over here so we can do a united front. And Phineas seems to be right next to the guy, and you're not sure what he's up to. But
if I came to this spot here, it's hard because this guy's so big. Would I be able to shoot without provoking an attack of opportunity?
From 5 feet away?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought your guy was carrying a sword in a melee type.
He can be, but he's better with ranged.
Yeah, he's. Okay. You're talking about Solarian.
So yeah, you're better just take a 5-foot step back away from him and let loose.
I'm struggling to know if I can get 5 feet away though, because he's so oddly shaped.
You can take a 5-foot step. Yeah, no, you could get 5 foot away.
Yeah.
If you go to like the bottom of the staircase, you would be far enough away where it wouldn't provoke.
Okay.
He doesn't have reach.
That's what I'll do.
All right. Don't slip off the edge of the boat. Or get pushed off accidentally.
Try not to.
All right, the next guy, he picks up Phineas and throws him at Beltran, and both of you guys go off the boat. Oh, roll to non-confirmed. But just a miss. The arrow goes flying off outside of the boat and into the water. So that was a poor shot.
That's my third one tonight. This is not going well.
It's not going well.
I'm not seeing Dan's health bar.
Hold on.
And Dan, can you throw your name in parentheses on your name tag?
That is my name.
Well, your
like we have for Leonard and Bjorn and
just we've got new character names, and it's nice to just see who I'm talking to.
All right, can you see it now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
There's Mike getting bossy.
Excellent. Does anybody else
like I would have been hitting on John Heil if I knew it was Gordon's character. I wasn't paying attention.
All right, Rindle, you got at least one of these little robot dudes headed your way.
The old robot dude, eh? How far is he? He's not very far.
He's not very far from you at all.
Let's try the big gun
22
first.
feet.
Let's try the big gun first. Let's try a flaming sphere on him.
Flaming sphere. Okay.
Remember, I like to bowl for dollars here. I'll put my special glove on, chalk up.
Okay. Okay. Go for it.
Okay. Let's see. Trying to bring up the spell. I think you roll to save for half, don't you?
Yeah. So you need a sphere. So where are you rolling it to? Hold on a second.
The guy to my, I guess we to my right.
Okay.
It goes 30 feet per round, so he's well within range. He could do a reflex save, which hopefully as a robot guy he does not have much of a reflex.
All right. There's your flaming sphere.
Where's my thing here?
It goes right there.
Yeah, oh, there it is. Okay.
I will give you control of it, so you can show me exactly where it goes. All right, you should be able to move it.
All right, so here it is with me.
All right.
And then there's two guys here. This one, right? And then this one here?
Yes.
All right. That's a 7-10 split, but I'm going to go for the 7-0 here first. Boom.
Okay, so you just roll it right into that guy.
Yep.
All right.
He can make a reflex save.
It's a reflex save. All right, hold on a sec.
You're hopefully not very reflexive.
Okay.
Or not you.
And then Matt, as your move action, I would move over close to us.
Okay.
Towards Snapper?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
All right.
Maybe
So
I push this guy right off the boat.
the sphere.
He did not make his reflex save.
He did not make his reflex save. So the sphere just rolls right up on top of him. But as you look, he kind of steps through it. And you see that he does not seem to be at all affected by the fire.
All right. Now I'm going to run like crazy bastards now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can go 30
I only
feet.
get 30 feet, but
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right there.
Okay.
Which puts me right between both of them. So
both of them, yeah. So you
I can
see
use
this
an
guy.
assist here.
He's got his
Maybe I'll
hands
move a
up,
little bit more this way.
and he's kind of like tracking you as you go running past him. Okay.
So
go ahead.
My flaming sphere is still active. It continues to roll around. So
Yeah, it continues to roll around, but he does not seem to be that little robot dude does not seem to be affected by it at all.
So you say he steps through it like as he's illusionary,
like he doesn't pay attention to it.
like he's immune to fire.
Yeah, like he's immune to fire.
They're on to us.
Okay.
We're mostly a fire spell team.
Is that it for you?
Yeah, that's it for me.
All right. First things first. Did you see that?
I saw it.
Yeah.
He shoots you, and then this one shoots Snapper. It's the fire guys, or the little robot dudes. They actually, those little tubes that they have, they shoot fire out of them. It is a fire ray that needs to do a range touch attack.
What happened to my turn?
You haven't taken your turn yet. So do you want to go now?
Well, sure.
You pause. You can
jump in whenever you want.
Oh, okay.
You want to go now before the fire guys?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I'm going to turn invisible.
All right.
And do a knowledge check to see if I can determine who these creatures are.
Okay. So probably knowledge arcana or knowledge nature.
Okay. Both are the same bonus, so.
Okay.
21.
21. You suspect that these are clay golems. They are typically, they're not used very often, but they're typically used as guards or they don't have much of the way of intelligence. Typically, they react to certain provocations until told to stop by whoever either made them or has command over them. They do tend to be very strong, but kind of dumb.
So do I know if
good
they
guards.
require a particular language or?
You can, so with a 20, you can ask 2 questions about them.
Okay. All right. So do I need to know a particular language to communicate?
They do not communicate in the traditional sense. They have no language. They don't speak. They will respond to orders given to them by their makers or by people designated by their makers, but typically they're not something that normal people would be able to communicate with.
Okay.
They don't have ears. They don't have mouths.
Okay. And do I still have some?
Yeah. You can ask one more question about
them. Do I know anything about how to destroy them?
So usual methods include just battering them into pieces. Bludgeoning weapons are better for use against these things to sort of beat them to death. They are also immune to magic as a golem. Any magic that allows spell resistance, they are immune to, except for certain kinds of spells like move earth or earthquake or disintegrate.
Okay.
Which affects them. But other than any spell that allows for spell resistance, they are immune to.
All right. So I'm going to move here and just whisper to Beltran that put away your bow and get something blunt. Or, whatever information I gleaned. No magic.
Still does better with his bow.
Right.
Well, yeah, they have DR, except for DR but bludgeoning weapons bypass it.
Okay. So all that.
Well, that's helpful because I do have blunt arrows. So.
Oh.
Okay. So Phineas, you tell him blunt away, and you're now invisible as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay, now my little robots are blasting Snapper and Rindle. So it's a ranged touch attack at +4 to shoot you against your touch AC. That one's against Snapper. This one's against Rindle. Either of those hit?
That hits the next 5 times.
Okay, what about
which one?
Against touch AC?
Against me?
Yeah.
The 13 is yours.
Does that thing got cast on us earlier? Does that give us a bonus?
What did you cast earlier?
No, somebody cast something earlier that's giving a +2. I wasn't picking.
No,
yeah, the song. You're not actually in that. You can't hear them.
Never mind.
And that's
it wouldn't help that anyways.
13 hits. 13 hits.
Okay, so Snapper, 15 points of fire damage as a jet of fire launches into you. Rindle, 20 points of fire damage.
Damn.
This guy just snaps you as you walk by. These little guys hit hard.
Well, I'll be dead.
They have no other weapon other than these little their tubes are maybe an inch in diameter for their little arms. Remember, these guys are only about 2 feet tall, but they just kind of lift them up and they just shoot fire out of them like little flamethrowers. And their aim is spot on. So they get you. These two over here.
For some reason, I don't have control of my character. I did it one time.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's my fault. That's fine. All right.
Okay.
He moves to there. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I got to do that a lot. That's why I asked that first.
4. Here's the thing you notice about these guys: they do not move very fast.
Are they?
All right.
This ship is in water, right?
It's in water, yeah, and there's no railings on the thing. There's no gunwales. There's no railings.
Well, for those of us with blunt weapons, maybe knocking their asses right off the ship would be helpful.
Okay.
But I'm planning to put myself in the drink because I can't take another hit.
Okay. So Solarian, you see one of these little metallic dudes come to the edge of that upper deck above where you guys are standing. There's one above Beltran too, although you're not sure that he notices he's up there. The other two at the back end of the ship have moved towards the steps and are coming down, whereas this big clay dude is coming through there. All right, so that's that. Bjorn, Leonard, and Llama. Now, you guys are all crammed onto these stairs with this clay guy who's trying to grab John Heil and this plant behind him, which is sort of, it hasn't attacked or anything, but it's a huge plant behind there, and then there's some sort of hissing noise coming from behind the plant.
At this point,
will you guys let me go first?
Sure, go first. I was just going to say I can't see anything. Is that on purpose?
No, probably not on purpose. Hold on, let me get you. Can you see there now?
No.
I don't think he sees his character.
No, I mean literally everything. The top side of the boat where everybody else is fighting, I can see. I can see where my character is because there are circles there, but everything there is black. I can't see anything.
Okay.
You need to put the corn stalks there.
Give him light.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
I find it weird that he doesn't have any light to see.
I think maybe when you blacked it out so we couldn't see the other levels to begin with.
It could be. All right, let's try this. How about now?
Okay, I can see a little bit.
All right, perfect.
Okay, now the clay golem here is actually facing us, right?
Yes, he's facing you guys.
It's not like he was fighting that plant creature or anything like
No,
that.
he's standing in front, essentially in front of the plant creature.
Okay, so free action, I say in Terran, we are not your enemies. We are here on a discovery mission. And then I cast Dimension Door and touch Llama and Bjorn.
Okay, where are you going? Just over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
With Llama here. Yeah.
And Bjorn, where
Bjorn
do you
there.
Where, right here?
Yeah. No, not well, either place.
Okay.
Wherever they want to be, as long as they're right next to me.
Okay.
And it's their turn.
Yep.
I tell them to attack the plant.
All right. So so here's the thing, Leonard. You and all of you guys see like this cat dude right over here. This multiple armed cat guy. He also has multiple eyes. If you can scroll in on him there and take a look at what he looks like, I think you'll be a little freaked.
So he is what he looks like is what he looks like.
Yeah, kind of, except for he has more arms than that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm scrolling in.
Okay, hold on. All right, see him?
Yep.
Yeah, he's weird. Now, he also looks translucent. He looks like he is fading out, actually. He seems to be becoming increasingly translucent as you look at him. He's looking right at you with those weirdo eyes, and he's got these little tiny, like, very strangely carved bows. And they're small. The bows are only maybe 2 feet tall. The arrows are about the size of maybe even crossbow bolts, maybe a foot long. They're very strange, very weirdly shaped, that kind of thing. But he looks like he's disappearing.
Okay.
Okay. Llama and Bjorn, what do you guys do? So Leonard has gotten you off the stairs and says to you, hit the plant.
I'm shaking my head back and forth and going, what the plant? Question mark, the plant? Why?
Yes.
I'm looking for direction as to why the plant.
Hunch.
It's got a
Okay.
Dead skeleton in it. That could be a clue.
I'm raging. I don't. Is that dead skeleton on this one? Is the dead skeleton there that we can see on this picture, Les?
No. Well, no. No, there's no skeleton.
That's just part of the picture.
Right.
All right. Okay.
You do, from your point of view, you do see pretty clearly that there is a hole there where the plant is coming up from below.
How close do I have to get? Like, I'm not sure. First thing I do is take a deep breath because I'm seeing all sorts of like noxious nastiness around it. Can I see that for real, or is that just a picture?
Hold on a second.
It looks like it's spewing pollen or...
Yeah, well, that's kind of, yeah, it's kind of for real in that it has a lot. What in the fuck is going on with my goddamn computer?
Whoa. Whoa.
Hey, I'm glad this is getting recorded.
Son of a bitch. Every fucking day.
Phrasing.
Yeah, phrasing.
I swear to God, so much technological prowess.
Use your words.
Here you go. All right, there, Chuck, there's the Zoom link again. Sorry. I had a bit of a moment there. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, it's not really shooting a bunch of pollen and stuff, but most of those are like fronds and tentacles, are like creeper vines. It's like it's very much a mobile plant, and it's kind of like now it's kind of whirled around, and it's like sort of, you know, it's not like snapping at you, but they're these vines almost. These fronds are kind of like going towards you, kind of thing, like sniffing at you.
I'm back.
Okay. All right. I'm going to kind of take a step and swing low, not high. I want to go as low as I can. How close do I have?
That's a great question. Hold on a second.
That puts me in attack of opportunity with that other thing.
I'll be right back.
Sure. Put me in this position and leave.
Okay. So it's got reach, and you can tell that it's got reach. So for you to get close enough, you may provoke.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, there he is. You're back.
Yeah, just checking. Sorry about that. My computer froze up.
Okay.
So there, Les?
Yeah, you could get right up to it.
Okay. I'll roll twice. With the
Okay.
scimitar.
So where you use a bastard sword?
I mean my bastard sword. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. 1.
25 will hit.
2.
Oh, that'll hit too. So 2 hits. You managed to slash into it. Now it does get an attack of opportunity against you. Let's go ahead.
Or after damage.
It's simultaneous. So. Dang.
Nice.
So 41 points?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. And it's going to attack you. 11, that's not going to hit, I'm guessing.
No.
All right, so one of these like sort of like tendrils kind of like comes around you, and it hits off your arm, and you can feel it kind of like grasping around, like it's trying to grab onto you, but you lay into it with your sword, at the same time, and you chop away at it. I mean, it's almost like chopping weeds in the back. You chop out, and there's pieces that you actually cut off and fall to the floor, and some of them fall back down into the hole. There's let me do this.
Can I take a 5-foot step back now?
Not now, no.
Oh, I guess it's my full action, isn't it? Yeah.
So you've chopped off little pieces of it, and it is sort of it's flailing about trying to get at you. So yeah, you heard it, or you feel like you heard it.
Good girl.
What about you, Bjorn?
Raise an eyebrow and look at Leonard.
Does that thing have a health bar?
It does.
I can't see it.
I can't
No,
either.
that's because most of it is underneath.
Okay. And you said that it has reach?
It has reach, yeah, but it has already engaged its attack of opportunity.
Oh. Well, I was thinking if it tried to use it to attack me, it would give Llama an attack of opportunity.
Yeah, no, it can't do any more attacks of opportunity this round.
All right. Well, she looks to be hacking up the tree fairly well, at least for now. So I'm going to move here.
Okay.
And attack this cat.
All right, go for it. 27 and 18. Let me check something real quick. So I need you to roll. It's not quite. I need you to roll 50-50, high or low. And you select first.
I'll take low.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. So you come over there and your longsword, and you just kind of go, and it passes right through the cat. Goes all the way through. It seems insubstantial, maybe ethereal. And as you do so, it begins to fade. It's Cheshire catting out into like nothingness.
Okay.
And you come back around and try and take another slash at it, but by that time, it's almost completely gone. There's almost nothing there. I mean, you can sort of see an outline of the cat and the glow of its eyes, but it's almost entirely gone.
Okay.
So that would be a miss. All right. So that's the end of round one.
What about Snapper?
Where are you?
Well, I rolled a 5 on my initiative, but
A 5.
You got a 5. All right. So you go now. You're not on my list. I don't know how I missed you. Go ahead.
You didn't sure as heck miss me with that fire thing.
No, those guys are pretty good. They're like waddling over towards you closer.
All right. Well, I'm hitting this guy here.
Okay.
I'm taking a chance. I'm hitting him with the create water.
Create water. All right. So let me see about these guys. See what that might do. So you are. All right. So you're gonna dump a bunch of water, 14 gallons of water on him.
That's right.
All right. It splashes. It materializes over him. Splashes through the deck. You hear like as like the metal of this creature is obviously very hot. And so there's a sense of like there's some steam and like the hissing of the water, but you've also created a pretty substantial pool
That's right.
of water on the deck. Now, a lot of it goes off, but I'm going to say, hold on a second. Let's do it this way. I'm going to make a little water here. that came out not the way I wanted it to. I'm not going to make a little water. I've already done that. All right, so that is like the wet spot. Boy, I'm just full of good stuff today, aren't I? From a point of view of phrasing. All right, let me go ahead and fill that. All right, there's your water, and there's the guy in it. Now that area is under the effect of what is essentially a grease spell. So because of the nature of the floor. So let me look. He has a opportunity to make a saving throw or otherwise fall down. So you don't. What's your normal saving throw for a spell of that level? So create water is a 0 level spell, right?
Yeah.
So do you know what your first level spell saving throws are?
Well, it says no for save, none.
It should just be for a zero spell. It just should be 10 plus his casting stat modifier.
Okay,
Yeah,
so what's your
other 0 level spells? One of them might have a DC.
Or look at your first level spells. Anything that has a DC, we can figure it out.
Well, my DC for 0 level spells is 15.
15. Okay. So got a 15. So it stays on its feet, but you can see it's kind of like, it's got these little metal legs, and you can see it kind of like joggling a bit as steam comes off it, but it stays on its feet.
Has it injured it at all, or is it like?
It's cooled it. So there was a lot of hissing and steam. It's like pouring water on like a hot griddle.
Right.
So it's obviously the creature itself was very warm. You don't know if you've injured it per se, but it's soaking wet and in the middle of an area that serves like a grease spell. So that's something anyway. But yeah, you don't think you've injured it so much.
Okay. Well, hot metal is cooled rapidly. Of course, that's the physics thing that my character wouldn't know about, but.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it took like almost an hour and a half to get to me.
Okay.
And it is 10 minutes to 11. So.
Is it really?
Yeah. There's a fair chance that you're all not gonna get back to me again.
So, no, we're right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you what about the rest of you guys? Do you want to I mean, it's 10 minutes left. Do you guys want to stop here, or do you want to try and finish up one more round?
Let's stop here so Doug can get.
Well, I'm just saying that it took, like I said, we'd be going.
It took a while.
Yeah.
It did take a while to get through this round.
Yeah. So. It took almost an hour and a half. So.
Okay. Well, we can stop here. That's all right.
Is it easier for you to remember if we just don't start the round? Is that what you're saying, Les?
Yeah.
Okie doke.
Les.
Yep.
Write down the initiative.
I got
it. And don't throw it away.
I got it. It's in my notebook.
Video.
Got it right here.
Okay.
It's in the video. Yeah.
Everybody has a
It's in the video too. All right. Cool. Well, awesome. Thanks, you guys. And we.
Thank you, Les.
We will be back here Sunday night.
I have one quick question before you go, Les.
Yeah, absolutely.
The 50-50 miss chance for this creature, would that be affected by blind fighting?
Would not. It's basically fading away from this plane.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because it's not a skill that I had until last level. So.
Okay. No. It's not. It has nothing to do with blind fighting. It's not disappearing from sight. It's disappearing from the prime material plane.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Awesome.
Right,
thanks, you guys.
Good night, everybody.